Podcast. I'm your host, Lady She. On tonight, we are talking fashion. I'm super hyped right now. Super hyped. Look, we talking fashion. I'm looking mad regular, but it's all good. This is why we have the professional here. But listen, everybody, I want to welcome my special guest, Miss Jeri J.Gross, owner and operator. Let's do that. Owner and operator of J.Gross Shoe and Clothing Apparel, or Clothing and Shoe Apparel.
Correct. You got it. You got it right.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
I'm excited.
We've spoken many of times.
We have.
And
we absolutely have.
I'm telling you, you are even more beautiful in person.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So are you.
I feel your spirit and your sincerity. And I'm glad to be here.
That.
And I'm looking forward to all the wonderful things that I know and trust that God is going to do for you and your family.
Ooh.
And this platform that you're doing. Because I've seen a lot of wonderful clips, that you're touching on in our community. And it's vital. You know, it's definitely vital.
I appreciate that. Thank you for that. I receive every bit of that.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Yes, one to agree. Amen. I really truly appreciate those words.
I mean it too.
I just want to please him.
Listen, if you're not, that's why things are flowing so effortlessly. Because it's not you're not in the way of it. It's allowing God to do the increase. And that's what I had to learn. Letting control go.
Ooh, let's get into that. She said that is what I had to learn. So we want to know what she's talking about. Because inquiring minds want to know. We know it's a child.
Well, when I say that, we sometimes feel that we're in control of how things work. And that was a big thing for me, feeling like if I'm the driver of how things are being done, or okay, God gives me the gift of prophecy or even discernment. Okay, let me try to add this spin to it.
Gotcha.
So all I was doing was getting in God's way and not really understanding that when you truly say you trust God, like I've seen miracles perform in my life and my parents' life, my family's life. So to know that, and even some of my girlfriends would say, as much unmerited favor that you have and how God has done things in your life, why aren't you trusting? And I had to do some self-inventory and really say to myself, what is it? So the thing for me is I was always comfortable knowing that if I had a hand in it and if it went left, at least I had a hand in it.
Ooh.
It wasn't until I said to myself, what is it, oh Lord, what is it that I'm doing that is not allowing me to only get a certain point in my life and not, completely finish the race the way I want to, or elevate in the way that I should. When I've helped people or I've given them information, I've even spoken into their lives that have helped them. So what is it with me that I can't trust that?
Right.
So when I did self-inventory, just learning everything does begin and end with you, I had to understand what was that about. And a lot of it is just not feeling comfortable with allowing things to flow.
Come on in here with the bars.
Yeah, so,
you just helped somebody, child. You probably just freed somebody.
I pray that I did because, like I said, just being fashion, which I have no schooling in.
Right.
I just love to dress. It's always been a part of my culture. Thank you. Doing maybe some things I did even to the left that my friends would laugh at me, but it was really coming to a place of understanding and accepting who I was and not saying, you know what? A lot of times people will say, well, you're doing this and I don't agree with it. But in most cases, a lot of people might take what your idea is or maybe your thought and tell you it's not a great idea. And then they go and try it.
Oh, well, come on. So, she all in my business, but go ahead.
So what I had to learn to do is be quiet.
Help somebody with the bars.
Be quiet. So how important it is to learn to be quiet. And going back to even scripture, there's a time to speak. There's a time to cry. There's a time to live. There's a time to die. So really understanding and getting into a place where I said, Lord, why do I feel like the clear port?
Ooh.
And in saying that, meaning I want to help you. I want to see you succeed. But even coming down to the likes, I got to touch on this. You put out some very profound, touching situations. I'm talking about from molestation to mental health to fatherhood, motherhood, balancing. And why is that not getting 1 trillion likes? 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. Right. And then I have to understand, we're so toxic, us as a people, or we're so conditioned to toxicity that we rather live in those things that we don't want to really deal with, but we want to deal with somebody else's mess or somebody else's gossip.
Right.
So that is exactly why I say to you, what you're doing, continue. I support you. I pray for you. And that because we want to act like these things are, dormant in society. And like I said, getting back to self-inventory, really having that say, mirror, look at that mirror and say, what is wrong with me?
Right.
What is it that I can do? Because if you're not a part of the solution, you're a part of the problem.
Come on.
So for me, being more of a solution giver or being the solution is what, I really looked at and said, this is what I want to be. This is what I want to leave my legacy. I want to worry less about what's going to happen to my kids, because while I'm here, I want to do the work that matters. So when generation, and while grace is being expended to my child or to my family member, it's because I did something right.
Yeah.
Without accolades, without a validation, just knowing that there's a conscience that I have to follow, and I got to sleep at night.
Right.
So going to sleep comfortably, knowing that I'm doing the best that I can, not perfect, that matters to me.
Yeah, love that. And this is how we starting off, honey. Let's go. Let's go. Love all of that. So where are you from?
I'm from Long Island.
You're from Long Island, okay.
Born and raised in Manhasset. Lived in Freeport for some time, and then I moved out to Massapequa, and now I'm back to Manhasset.
All right. So what was that like? Tell us about you, because this strength that you just shared with us, just that little small portion, that didn't come from perfection. That didn't come from everything like being so smooth. Because I know people who have gifts, they go through things. And a lot of times it's silence because people don't understand them.
Right.
So I would love to know like what it was like growing up in your home.
Wow, growing up, my father rules with an iron fist. So whatever he said was law. And for me, being named after him, he's Jeri, I'm Jeri. So being named after him, it was like, quote unquote, I was the boy at that time that he didn't have. So I think a lot of my strength came from seeing the things that he did, which was admirable as far as, always running a business. Didn't always agree with a lot of things, but you have your reasons. But understanding my gift and understanding that sometimes I spoke out of turn.
Okay.
I didn't listen. And then later on in life, having to understand that a prophet or prophetess is not even welcomed in their own home.
Come on in here.
So when you understand that there may be a time where you need to speak, and not always, and never, and not so much in a disrespectful manner, but if God speaks a word to you, you may have to go up against your mother or father. And that's where I found myself sometimes being the black sheep, in a sense, and not negatively, but just more so like I was willing to challenge.
Different.
Right. And then imagine feeling like you were problematic and not someone really understanding that it was your gift or it was the things that God stirred in you. I have a story where my father's mother, my grandmother, they passed on, her and my grandfather, she entered me into Star Search. When I was younger, I used to do talent shows. My older sister, I always beat every talent show. My parents would laugh. I always gravitated, always made people laugh naturally. And, I wanted to do acting when I was younger. And, sadly enough, but my mom never pushed that audition process.
Gotcha.
So, it was very conflicting to me because I had this voice and this spiritual knowing that existed, and try always somebody saying, you know what, we'll get in the corner or, sit down. And for me, I became combative and challenging and rebellious, so my parents had their day with me, but all to understand later on in life that it was what God was birthing in me. Right. It was a responsibility of knowing that even our parents may tell us to do things, and not necessarily that my parents would say, oh, don't go do something that was wrong. No, but more so knowing that I may have disagreed with something spiritually. And then I'm challenging my parents, and it's like the fact that they didn't want to understand. Back then I grew up, kids were seen and not heard. That's so whatever your parents told you to do.
That's what I'm thinking about. I'm like,
exactly, you did it.
Yeah.
So I challenged a lot of things, and I remember sometimes feeling like displaced, even in my home. And I remember like going through challenges, and it was a year that I turned 12 years old. And I remember I would talk to God. I would, sometimes I, do little things and just that was the foundation when I really grew a relationship with God. And then God started speaking to me. And then because I did things, I would be like, God, all right, if I tell people this or if I speak your word, if they say I'm crazy, Lord, I don't know, we're not going to go through this, And I remember like finding myself in a sense bartering with God, but it was really the fact that I had to trust his perfect plan for me. And in doing that, there was a lot of things that I brought my family, to a different awareness. And my parents are church going, and but me, it's just I have this different relationship. And then sometimes when things happen in my life, they don't understand it. And there were times I was abandoned, and when I say abandonment can be different things. It could
Absolutely.
be abandoned and just the fact that, all right, well, she's too rebellious, or and then there's times where I had to stand on what I believed in and not budge.
Right.
So that sometimes appeared that I was confrontational, but no, it was just that if you have the spirit of conviction and something in your soul, like Kelly Price would say, something in my soul's not right. Mm-hmm. I can't sleep. And then you want to challenge that and tell me, no, you're supposed to do A, B, and C, but mom or dad,
I can't shake it.
So then when my gift heightened and I started to prophesy, or God would give me a word, or I would tell things and things would come back, and then people would be like, well, Jeri, well, what do you think would happen? It wasn't necessarily like, well, let me tell your fortune. It was like, well, I can tell you if God gives it to me.
Right.
And that's what started happening. So now as I would do things and stand firm on what I believed and I didn't budge, it just put me in a place sometimes where I was an outcast.
Right.
So as I became okay with that and trusting that when I knew I was saying things and doing things that God put in my heart or instilled or convicted me to do, people started respecting it. But even if people respect what you do, they still may not like you.
Right.
And I just had to come to a place where I was okay with that, as long as I stood firm and I surrounded myself with people that believed in me. And a lot of times, sometimes it could be outside people.
Absolutely.
That will believe and respect the person you are, sometimes before your family sees it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm even learning in the fashion industry, that I have a gentleman that we were working, we still might work, but I was supposed to do something over the weekend. And he said to me, I'm going to give you some principles to go by. He said, I was an intern for Russell Simmons. And he said, the first thing you do, don't share what you're doing with your family.
Well.
And don't ask them for support. The second thing he said was, keep everything a secret. So we get back to that part of being quiet. And when he said that, it was like a sigh, like, because sometimes the first person you're looking for, your mom, your dad, your sister, your cousin, your brother, and then it's like, unfortunately, everyone doesn't believe until somebody in the world says, you made it.
Yeah, they don't always get it.
Or get it. So once I stopped looking for that validation and I stopped looking for everyone to agree with what I was doing, I became better about myself. Myself, because it was like, well, if I make you happy Monday and then somebody else upset on Tuesday, and then I'm disoriented or I'm discombobulated, what am I really doing? Yeah. So again, just having to really say to myself, Lord, you and I, we in this, right? You got me, right? The same God that healed my mother 22 years from cancer, the same one when COVID hit and my mother didn't know what to do, and she packed up her bag, her overnight bag, because two of her doctors said she has to get to a hospital. And the Spirit of God said, spoke to me. And my father, my sister, older sister said, call the pulmonologist. And I called him and I said to the doctor, I said, Dr. Gill, I said, he said, he sounded sick and disoriented. And I said, I pray that you're okay, and read the 91st Psalm. He said, do not send your mother to the hospital. He said, I'm going to send a pharmacist to you. Give me your information, text it to me. 15 minutes later, a big black pharmacist truck was sitting in front of my parents' house with Swan, hydrogen peroxide, and about 9 capsules of 50,000 IUs of vitamin D3 that he bought. He told me everything to do. Right. I shield up. This is when the first set of COVID hit, when we was knocking everybody. Yeah. And my mother looked at me. She had an overnight bag, matching underwear, matching bra, matching pajama set. And I said, Mom, where we go? I have to get to the hospital. I said, you know God, right? Oh, yes. And she got offended. I always say if she had pearls, she would have quenched them. So I look at her, I said, this is what we have to do. And she looked at me and I said, I don't have time for this. I said, everybody's dependent on me at this point. And I said, I'm here. What are we going to do?
Right.
And she sat down. We went step by step with what she was supposed to do. I gave her hydrogen peroxide, 2 capfuls, and a nebulizer, and that began to break up because she had double pneumonia in both her lungs.
Wow.
Mind you, 72, pre-existing conditions.
Wow.
And she began to pour up that inflammation. And I still didn't feel comfortable, and that's where the gift of discernment and just really trusting God.
Yeah.
I could do it for her.
Yeah.
In doing that, my mother was here, and she went to Belmore, Merrick, City MD, and a black doctor happened to wait on her and said, well, whoever told you what to do must really love you.
Woo.
They didn't know it was me, you know,
that.
but again, having to just say some of the things I said to her that were harsh. So I'll back up just a little bit, but I said, because she was giving me a little, hesitation. I said, well, get your iPad. Do you have it? She said, no, it's not charged. I said, well, I'll wait. We can charge it. I said, because that's how you're going to say goodbye to us when you die. And she looked. So I said, you got to understand, Ma, this is, you can go by man, but it's not man that keeps us or sustains us. It's God and faith. So she said, okay. And then she did it. It was like maybe 2 or 3 months later, she was crying. Because it didn't really hit her what happened. Yeah. It did, but it really didn't. Right. And all I could just think about was trusting God. Yeah. But for my mother or my sisters or my dad or for my children, but never really me. So I say all of that to say, coming back to that point of really standing in that knowing of God and doing and being instrumental in how he directs me. Has allowed me to go through the things, but at the same time, it's cost me a lot. It's cost me friendships. It's cost me relationships. It's cost me people that I no longer was willing to serve because I wasn't going to allow them to access me, utilize me, or just feed off of my spirit because of what I knew I could do.
What we call it, pimping your anointing.
Pimping or vampire spirit too, because now people want to suck what they can suck from you. And then,
they will.
You're no longer of service.
Yeah, and they will.
So again, my ability, which is a gift and a curse to want to help, I had to learn. Back to that same thing I reiterated in the beginning. When to speak, a time to do everything. And even when God is saying, speak this word into this person. So here I am, finally living in the purpose that I feel I'm supposed to be living through God. And only because, like I said, I'm at a point now where things are happening swiftly. Right. Even the confirmation that comes behind what I'm doing is happening. So God said, when I speak something into your life, I will send confirmation. Right. So, 1, 2, 3, it happens. Or even just saying, Lord, just flow, have your way. Right. I don't want to try to peek into what can happen. I don't even. You
want to be obedient.
Yeah, I want to be obedient. I don't even want to know now. Right. I just want to truly be in a platform because I love fashion. Some things I do don't always make sense, but be doing that. But more importantly, the plateau would be to help somebody. Right. You know what I mean? And that's just big for me. Definitely.
That. So how many of you was it? How many siblings do you have?
I have myself and 3 other sisters, and I have 2 brothers. Okay. So my father has 2 sons, and so it's a total of 6. Okay. 4 girls and 2 boys.
4 girls, 2 boys. Okay. All right. So you had a house full, child.
Yeah. So it was been interesting.
All right. So where did this come from? Like, because a lot of times people have stories like, oh, well, I was always a girly girl. I had dolls and I would dress them up. I would cut their hair. I would do this. I would do that. Right. And that's when I started realizing that, I had a thing for fashion. Where did this come from? And what age were you?
Oh, gosh. Well, this story is so funny. It's embarrassing, but it's funny. So I went to Kellenberg. Actually, my sister and
shout
I.
Out to Kellenberg.
Yeah, Kellenberg. Oh, gosh. I hope nobody remembers me running through the halls or getting in trouble. So I was a Latin coat. And my oldest sister, she had her boyfriend at the time, Lawrence Page. He's from Roosevelt.
What's the age gap with you and your sister?
4 years.
Okay.
So she and I mentioned him because Lawrence was my sister's first boyfriend, love, everything, and he spoiled my sister. Actually, he was founder of the Pink Teacup out in the city.
Right.
He had the show on We with. Down in Miami, It's
I
anyway.
know,
A couple of them. He had
Yeah.
some bakeries. Anyway, but he would spoil my sister.
Mhm.
I'll never forget. He bought her these Hirachis. They were like Hirachis, pink and purple. They just came out, and I was like, Nish, I want to wear them. Let me just sport them to school today. And absolutely, emphatically, no. Me testing it. I wanted what I wanted, so I took them.
Oh.
She learned that they were missing that day.
Ooh.
When she learned that they were missing, she came up in her coat, in her truck, and she found me in the halls of Kellenberg.
You were in school. She was already out of school.
She was no, yes, we were at school together, but I was there like after school, or she left earlier or something. I don't know. Maybe she had a last period, or but she went home and discovered they were gone.
Oh, okay.
Oh my gosh, she hightailed it up to Kellenberg. I'm in the hallways dashing and prancing in them like they're mine. Do you know, she didn't even let me go back to my locker and get my penny loafers to put them back on before she took them off me, okay, and left.
Siblings.
So at that moment, feeling like, wow, you know what? How am I going to level her up after this one? Like, I was wrong. I took them. They were hers. I shouldn't have. She told me no, flat out. Of course, I took them. And that inception and the conception of that idea kind of started from there. I'm like, you know what? Forget these Nike Hirachis. I'm gonna make mine. So yeah, so that started, and then that was definitely like the like I said, the perfect, like the mark of why I was gonna make my own.
The birthing.
So yeah, forget it, right? The birthing, and I'm never gonna have anything that someone could duplicate again.
Right.
That happened, and then also loving boots. And then like never seeing like certain boots, like there was a designer by the company I used to work for called Medici. Mm-hmm. And Medici, it's like a Jewish apparel shoe wear, and they had like funky styles, and this is where like the salmon and the brown or the khaki and brown. Mm-hmm. So I would love stuff like that for some reason. I guess my Libra bedazzle and differentness kicked in, right? So I that's really what was the birthing of it, doing that and really finding things that didn't make sense. That I started, right, that really stood out. And really a lot of it too, that matched my personality. Right. Because a lot of times, we got Chanel, we got Gucci, we have, these high-end designers, and really if you're not making the money, you can't afford it. Right. So that was always wanting to be different, and never wanting to really bite someone else's style or, things like that. So that was really kind of like a cluster of when the birthing and just wanting to, like I said, do things different came from me. But that definitely was one of the reasons why. Yeah, she stripped me right in. And
when like, my mother was a game.
Yeah, she did.
I don't care about this Catholic school.
I know, and then she shot me down so bad. I couldn't even try to like want to fight because I was so wrong, right? Like, how you gonna be wrong?
So I was so wrong.
She like my car. She just shot me to the ground. Like I didn't need no gun. It was like pow. That's it. Yeah, that you're over. And she's watching me. Yeah, but I'm back. So it did, but it was funny. It was like a lot of moments sometimes like that, But she did. She had a lot going on then, Right. So it was definitely something that to be proud of, to follow. But it was just like, come on, like you can't pass one pair of shoes over here. I was in the Jordan, but she had those. So
now in school, you have your siblings there as well. Mm-hmm. You realize I want to start making my own stuff. Right. Can you even remember, like, what was the first thing you made that everybody was like, oh, wait, what? Like, do you remember?
Yeah, it was actually having an ex of mine that was like, you good at a lot of things. He had found way of, he was in the music industry, so he had a person that knew about making shoes. Okay. So this was 2014 going into 2015. So when I presented him with what I wanted to do, and, it's always good to have somebody in your corner that really listens, because a lot of times, right, while I'm helping and doing things and, being of a support, he was like, what do you want to do? Mm-hmm. And sometimes people don't take time to ask you. Everybody's what I need. Mm-hmm. And when that question came to me, I had mentioned, always wanted to get into making shoes, didn't know how to go about it. He knew somebody that passed on the information. We went through the application process. I got approved.
All right.
And that's how it started back in 2015.
Divine connections.
Yeah, people. It was. And shout out to Dave. You know who you are. And I appreciate you for helping my idea, my dream
Seeing
come
the
into
vision.
my vision come into fruition, because he had the
That's dope.
information and he gave it to me and he started the process.
Let me just stop you for a second. You see, she said the person asked her what she wanted to do. You know, we have to start paying attention to our surroundings, the people that we spend time with.
Right.
Watching how we have no problem with pouring into other people for their dreams, but we don't get the same thing. So huge shout out to him for that,
Yeah,
for
no,
even asking that question, because a lot of times
definitely.
the ones who are there for everyone, no one asks them anything.
They don't, and that
They just
and
don't.
yeah.
So shout out to him for that.
No, and I really appreciate. And we don't speak very often, but even if there's a conversation or he comes up, one thing about me, I'm not gonna try to own something and not give someone homage for what they did, because at the end of the day,
Good for you.
you can sit here and say I did it and I built it brick by brick and
I'm a
stitch
one
by
man
stitch.
army.
Yeah, and
I'm self-made.
yeah. And all of that sounds great. Yeah,
nobody is. Let's be real. Everybody got help along the way.
Yeah,
somehow.
It did.
Even if it's YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay?
No, definitely. and then what is it? What does it cost? And see, this flips into something a little bit different. I know we're on fashion, but as me learning and coming into an understanding, a better understanding when I became a life coach, because when you really have to see those things and then understand healthy boundaries, and then also just doing what's morally right. Like people are so misconstrued, or they're so conditioned to think like, oh well, somebody did this to me, so you really have to be the gift that keeps giving to do what somebody did to you that you wouldn't want being done to you or to your children, your family. So I had to learn that even that mindset you got to get away from, because toxicity just continues to create toxicity. It is. And if I can get you to buy into my belief system because of what I told you someone did to me, you might start saying, you know what? Yeah. And you change your narrative and knowing that it's not right, because somebody, you didn't heal from that, or you allowed that to change who you are. So that's taking power from you. Right. And I don't like it. I love power. Not so much that it takes me from it, but I love so much power in knowing that if you're going to spin my story, make sure you dot every I and every T. And make sure you get it right, because one thing about me, if I ever have the chance to advocate for myself, I'm going to give you my story. We may differentiate in what we may feel. Our perceptions may be a little bit off, but knowing if I feel strong about what it is and these are my principles and beliefs, then that's what it is. But I'm never going to try to make my issues your issues. Right. That projection, which a lot of people try to do. Well, this happened. I don't even want to. If honestly, I'm at a point in my life, if people are even talking like that, I'll get up and excuse myself. That confrontation, that combat.
She sounds like a grown up.
Yeah, like I don't even want to do it. No, really, because at the end of the day, I'm taking so much time and energy away from something important,
something positive,
but then sometimes that's just the way the distraction is set up.
Come on.
So a lot of times when you don't even realize when you're being distracted, it could be your children, it could be every time you got to do something. I had to self-reflect. There was times when one of my sons would do something, and I'd be like, God, what is it? It's not my relationship. It's not an enemy. Sometimes it can be right underneath me. So the enemy will try sometimes the very thing close to you when you've even surpassed or passed even a test, in situations where that one thing that you were altered by or disoriented by, it's not that. Now it's something else. So it's important for us to really slow down in however way we can to really look at this pattern. Because while you looking to go to the next level, you didn't conquer the last devil in order to get to the new devil, unfortunately. But that's just how it is. So when I had to really understand that and speak to that, or prepare, or just even be quiet, or just understand, and like I said, allowing self to get out the way, I started to see the elevation. And then even people that are not wishing me well, like if I can't come in here and truly sincerely wish you well, then I don't need to sit in your seat. Yeah, I don't. You know what I mean? And I don't even need to take your invitation or anyone's invitation for that matter if we can't marry business-wise together with the same heart and mind. Because if we do, we're going to excel. Absolutely. We're going to do exceedingly and abundantly more than we may have even came in an agreement to do, because our mind and our hearts and our intentions are on the same same frequency. Yeah. So again, that's definitely huge for me.
Yeah, love that. So now it's the day asks you the mighty, mighty question, what do you want to do? And you answer him, and you guys connect, and then what happens? How does this all fall into place?
So then it falls into place around 20, I think 16 or so, 17. My manufacturer's in Italy.
Okay.
So again, you're getting shoes, or you're making shoes, or creating shoes at a starting price at like $200. So really not knowing all the marketing, advertising, no, we're now like slowly getting into like, I think MySpace was out. Maybe I'm going back a little bit further or a little bit back, but like Facebook was still like a platform. So you had little things, but now branding and content is so huge,
Right.
that I wasn't really utilizing that. And then him and I, we went our separate ways, and I kind of had it in the back of my mind. But again, I'm a mom of now, well, I've had 4 children, but a mom of 4. I'm dealing with going through personal things with my children's schools, getting, the best education, going through a process of testing for them. So that absorbed a lot of my time, because now I'm a mom. I'm a mommy first.
Yeah.
And yeah, business is great, and getting those things under wrap and taking care of home first was always a priority. So that superseded my dreams. It was like, I'm a mom first.
Yeah.
My mother, when it was time to kick in and be a mom,
she
was on it. You know what I mean? And she did it so well that she spoiled us in ways that, I wouldn't say crippled us, but it's like we have an expectation, because now we have a father that's an entrepreneur. He's making money,
What does your dad do?
He's the owner of a towing repair shop in Roslyn.
Okay.
He's been in business almost 50 years.
Don't tell me, Pop.
Yeah. No.
But I know y'all make good money though.
Yeah. No.
Y'all do all right. Y'all do all right.
Definitely. Like I said, I always say, Dad, if you had to open up a school for, business, hands down, he's the GOAT.
Wow.
And I say that respectfully because of,
love that.
We never had to worry about where meals were coming. We never had to worry about, being in harm's way of however he made life possible for us. For me, I just wish that balance. So for me, as a man, I could never think like one, because I'm not one. But understanding that balance for me is what I needed.
Yeah.
So when I take on even my personal business now, that's a key thing, balance. Spending time with the kids. And sometimes I'm doing way too much. I don't have an assistant. I'm a life coach. I have my real estate. I have, J.Gross clothing and shoe line apparel. I have, my children. So I don't have a team.
So let me ask you this though. So watching Dad do what he, make sure everybody was good, and you said the balancing was an issue. Do you feel like you fall into doing the same thing though? Because we can have many hats,
right?
But there's always ways to handle it in reference to delegating certain people to do certain things, or other companies that can assist you with these certain things. So do you think you falling into that same place that you didn't like growing up with him?
I think because of what I saw affect me negatively so much is what I try not to be. So now I have, and what he did, he brought me and my sister into the business, but it was like, our Friday night after working and helping him would be OTB. Gotcha. Or Belmont Racetrack. It was always what he wanted to do. It wasn't, and then there were times like where we take trips and we would go on places, but it was always at the expense of after he did that, then it was time. Gotcha. And for me, that hurt me more than anything. It hurt me and it helped me because I have his business sense, which is incredible, and I thank him for that. But understanding that when you have so much input in one instance, there's other things lacking.
Right.
And with me, not trying to be perfect, but I try to take inventory daily to make sure that something's not lacking. Like even with my children, I still got to make sure that I show up on appointments. I still had to make sure I fought when I say fought, I had to set the school district straight with the way they were trying to classify my sons based on the fact of what they thought a case study was. So you could take a single family household and think, well, there's things that are not right. Something's missing. Nothing was missing.
Right.
Not when I say nothing. So when I then rebuttal their arguments based off of like when I say case studies, things that they thought, when you have 2 black young males that their father's not in the home and they're doing things or they're acting out. A lot of it had to do with if people didn't mirror who I was, my sons didn't receive you.
Well,
so if you're not loving and kind and dealing with me with tact, or you're looking at me, or you're dealing with, and you don't feel any real authenticity from me, you may not be able to receive it.
right.
And then while people are saying, oh, well, the world's not going to conform, I'm not asking the world to conform. What I'm asking is, let's ensure our children with the proper tools, and not looking at your case study based on African or Black American children that are, in a home where their father may not be present, to make them think or appear that they're just out of order because of that. It could be how you're handling them. It could be that they don't see, and then we're in a predominantly white district. They may not have anybody else to relate to. So how can they mimic somebody that may not look like them? And we have a diverse family, but we're putting these expectations on children and almost forgetting that they have feelings and emotions just like we do. And then I had to learn and understand at times when I was being manipulated by my sons, or especially my older son. So it was a process where
parenting is hard.
Yeah,
it's hard.
Parenting classes, and then finally after saying to myself, something's not right, and then going a step higher to quality assurance and saying to them, I need you to investigate this internally. Right. And coming back, and they got 14 citations.
Wow.
So, and that was a big thing to do, but I exhausted all possibilities before I took it to that point, because it's one thing for you, again, to try to tell me what I'm not doing. But if I've done every neuropsych, if I've done every parenting class, if I've taken them to individual therapy, counseling, whatever have you, but just because I'm in a setting that you feel they need to fit the description that you lay out for them, right, doesn't mean that there are flaws within what I'm doing. Right. So if I need some critiquing, sign me up. I'm for it, because I want my kids to be the best version of me. So again, getting back to understanding the things that I would say affected me negatively with Dad being so busy, is I still needed him. And I didn't need him, when he was, turning a wrench. I needed him to sit me down and say, Reed, this is what it is.
They talk to you about boys?
That was my mother's department, and she, if you kiss a boy, you'll get pregnant. So the first time I kissed a boy, I was like, oh gosh, I'm taking a cold shower, saying, Lord, please, I hope I'm not pregnant. So
that's
and again,
old school for real.
It is. So a lot
that's
of that,
for real.
That you because you think that being transparent with your children, they'll go do something. No, but sometimes if you really let them know what it is, and you have some men that if they give up the game, they're giving up themselves.
Well,
so that for me, it was always tricky, and and then it's, well, you should know better. How can you expect our children to know better when
I don't like that line.
Yeah, the foundation, or even sometimes we may mimic because of what we see. Has to do a lot with, until we see what we have, or we come into a relationship or to a situation with someone, we say, you know what, this is not what I want, or I want this to be different. So for me, my goal, and always what I inspire to have, is a partner that goes through. We be business partners together, right. And work this thing, but involve our children. So now I have a 25-year-old, almost 26-year-old. She's in Atlanta with her dad, and I have my 14-year-old my daughter Milan, who's now become like really my replica. But also in watching what I'm doing, she's able to be a partner. I mean, like truly an assistant. I took her out with me to LA, and her really being able to see an example of me navigate through different things. She's AP honors. Right. She's phenomenal. She articulates herself. She's, a smart young lady, not fast. Everything that I really wanted to be, and not trying to make her me, but really being the example that she can be proud of and emulate. And the things that I didn't get right, I can try to show her, sweetie, this isn't the way, baby, this isn't the way. Right. But also being able to have her and grow with her this summer, taking her all the way to LA. It's me and her, and she kicked into like a young, respectable adult, but also I was able to rely on my 14-year-old daughter in a way. And when I say that, not like, the weight of heavy or adult responsibilities were put on her. No, the fact that she saw me so much that she was able to be a me in me. Yeah, and then go home, and at the end of it, helping me navigate out there in LA, Mom, I just want In-N-Out Burger. And we're Ubering it, because at that point we landed right there, didn't have a time to get a rental. And I'm like, she's like, well, we can go check in a hotel first. I said, no, we're going with the bags, the garment bags, the luggage, and we're going right to In-N-Out Burger. Wow. And she laughed because it was that important. I don't care how late it was to give her what she asked for, because she did everything I needed.
Yeah, and you want to give that time. You don't want to make it seem like this is all just a chore. Me having her be with me, but it's about her as well. Yeah. So I understand that part.
And definitely hearing her say, "Wow, Mom. Yeah. I'm proud of you." Yeah. Like we all live for that. Mm-hmm. But for her to look me in my face and say, "Mommy," even with the adversities and even her saying, "I didn't know sometimes how difficult things are for you to do, and you do it." Yeah. So I said, yeah. I said, and I even taken her, I said, Lord, I don't want to allow her to go through anything that could scar her or taint her. And then, of course, it was nothing that a mother wouldn't do for a child, but even if it just may have seen her deal with a situation that could, that's like a teacher saying to a child, well, you can't do this, or you're not savvy enough, so you sit this one out. But anything in that mark of grooming and just the pruning stages of me trying to ascertain my goal and complete my mission, even stuff getting lost while we were connected. Mm-hmm. 3 garment bags I left in the airport. Wow. So for me to get all the way there and then have to say, I'm out of 10, I'm missing 3. Yeah. Wow. So it was
so she was able to see the good and the bad.
She was able to watch.
It's real.
And you know what she
real.
said?
This is what my mom does.
Yeah, she did. Real. And she said, Mommy, the way she lit up. And at that moment, while I'm even thinking, because we all have our perfect, thought and what we want for our lives or how things are going to be. But, we could plan all day, but God is the master planner. Mm-hmm. And even the people that we met, I speak with Tori Hart every now and again. Some other ladies, Tiffany Graham, who's doing a lot of great things out in California. Chastity Sanders, she made the plus size magazine of Plus. I still speak to them. Cameron, he's a big TikToker. He just did Booty with Saucy Santana. He was one of the lead dancers in it. I mean, these are all the people that I've met and I still speak to. Right. So that experience, Sir Joe, who did that put together the fashion show, it was life changing. Yeah. It was life changing. Meeting Marcus, the gentleman that he was on. I can't think of his name. We follow each other, but I met him out there too. That does all the positive affirmation. Dr. Marcus Black. He's on social media. I can't think of his name. Before we conclude, I'll try to see if I could get it. But he speaks about positive affirmations and healthy relationships. I met him, so I'm like, what I embarked on, I had no idea. Right. What unfold the way it did.
Wow. So now you start the line. God has opened up all these doors for you. Mm-hmm. I know you mentioned that you lost people, that you went through some things. Share with us if you don't mind. Something that really had you understand. Like, I know that I'm surrounded by people who are not okay, and I have to make hard decisions, because if I don't, what God has given me to do through clothing or through this brand, it's not going to happen if I don't let some people fall to the wayside. Do you remember like a time where you were like, I'm going to have to make this decision, it's going to hurt. Yeah. I got to do it. What were you doing?
I did. It was in my personal relationship. Okay. I have.
This is with your children's dad?
No. We haven't been together in years. But no, someone that we actually met in Kellenberg. Okay. And this was our 3rd time meeting. This as of recent, about a year and a half ago. And in that interim, the 2 times before we met each other, I was engaged to David at the time. And then the time when we were in high school, I was like, I don't know about him. He's a little funny. So I said, and when I said funny, I'm like, I think he has a type. I'm not really sure. But interestingly, he went through some personal things. Okay. And again, I speak about him because learning even people going through things in situations that are outside of our reach. It could be embarrassing, could be humiliating. I'm not perfect. I know a lot of what I didn't get right, so I can tell you that.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So with that being said, that this chapter, or I should say this chapter, as I'm ending, because I'm going into 43 next month, 44, excuse me, ending that chapter of my life and learning from this relationship that you're going to deal with people that you might have thought when they're going through things you wouldn't even deal with. And then understanding and knowing them in a place where they were healthy, come from a good family,
Right.
but life took them down a path or a road that they weren't expecting, or you weren't even expecting to meet them in that place. And I think for me, understanding the great childhood memory, I think was the seed that allowed me to kind of say, I'm gonna do something different. I'm gonna stick by this person. I'm gonna stick by this person because one, I think it was disbelief, and two, the memory of just the period of us just knowing each other. We didn't even kiss at that time in life. Right. But it was more now so younger, like, right? Yeah, we were younger. I was 8th grade, he was 7th. So it was more so like, I can't believe this is my friend. Right. Good looking dude. Like, like, this is not happening. How did you get here? Right, how did you get it? So even him being in a place where he wasn't at his best, again, babe, what do you want to do? I got the shoe line and it's not really funneling out to the way I want it. And he knew your husband. Okay. Knowing your husband, he came and we had conversation, and your husband gave me some ideas about, him and I should say, not me directly, but him and I, we met him collectively, and showed me how to do, like, deal with the machine. I had the Cricut machine and some other stuff. Took it back. You connected to the clothing line. Right. Okay. So I had this machine for 2 years going through COVID, like something simple, like just from my phone. I made it more complex. Again, the Libra in me, overthinking. So we made that connection, and he gave some very helpful, your husband, and basic information that helped me start printing it. Because I'm like, okay, this is everything I did was out of my pocket. No PPP, which, everybody, you can look it up. You know what I mean? And I went and I started just getting visual. Right. So I started going, we started, going to different warehouses and looking into different inventory. And I started doing varsity jackets and sweats, and hoodies and stuff. But again, my passion in my heart was always the shoes. So my thing was like, I'm the type too, like, if you in one lane, I don't mind being in the lane that I'm in. Because at the end of the day, we're all trying to do what we're trying to do. So my baby is my shoes. But getting the notoriety, which wasn't happening, like I said, getting back to what I said prior, if your starting point is at 200 shoes and you're not cutting a record, and Remy Ma or Jay-Z is not, or Beyonce is not saying, they're not rocking, nobody's gonna pay it, So I said, Lord, I gotta find another avenue. And then I remember one Sunday we were home and he said, let's go see Butter. So I said, okay. He said, I spoke to him. So, him and Butter are really close. And I said, okay. So, they had conversation, and it was like a one-time meeting that he was explaining how to do it. And I'm saying, oh, like, this is like, meanwhile, I could think about things that are so perplexed because I'm an overthinker. Right. Something so stupid, simple. I'm like, are you serious? That's it? Yeah. So I always say, I appreciate it, even giving thanks to your husband. But he was a vehicle that said, you want to learn how to figure something out, baby? He was like, Big Butter knows, simple. Yeah. And that's how that started. So going past that, and then, life happening again for him, a place that, I didn't agree, but at the same time, I said, you know what, God? And this was a turning point for me, because loving someone, sometimes, I wouldn't say I did things that alter who I was, but like I even went and hung out places that I would never go. Wasn't you. I've had, and not like just being there, not even like doing anything wrong or whatever, but I had even women say to him, "Joe, she's bad. Why is she even here?" Wow. But learning how even women and people treated me, and going out in different places that I've never been, taught me humility. Come on. And it taught me that no matter how bad I think I am, or how cool, or what my parents have, or what I'm even accomplishing in my life, you can find God in the
Yeah.
most interesting places. And what it taught me is that I'm no better than anybody else. And even my level of what I might even think I'm better at because of what life may have given me or what my parents laid out for me, I'm still human.
Yeah.
And
There's
then
always
you
room
can,
to learn.
it is, but you can still love somebody in a place and they're not at their best.
Right.
You know, and from that happened and driving foreigns and, you know, now waiting to buy my next car, you know, but I'm waiting, you know, and then a rental, a Sonata, you know what I mean? And just to be at a place where I'm like, but niece, I'm living in my best because everything that I'm doing now is not highlighted, oh, I'm in a foreign. Right. Or I got a designer bag, a shoe. No, I'm really living in my truth.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of things that I had to come to even realization. Sometimes we want these things to appear because it's easier to have that than to do the work. So as I went through that,
she said it, not me.
It is. So
it's
now
the truth anyhow.
Now I'm doing the work, and now it's like unstoppable. Yeah. And just to give you just even like another, you know, I get invited places. My daughter loves Megan, and I went on Good Morning America. What was it? Friday. What are we? Today's Monday, Tuesday. I forgot. Monday, right? Monday. We went Friday. And I'm going. I told my daughter I parked the car. I told her to check in. She had the information, the credentials too. And I get to the front, and there's a group of guys standing outside, and I'm good morning everybody, and I'm walking. Man said, no, hold on. I said, yes. He said, well, who are you? I said, my name is Jeri. I'm a designer. He said, we're taking you to VIP. I promise you, my right hand of God. I didn't say one word. Sometimes I'm like, all right, let me see who I can try to finesse. I'm not even trying to work out of that.
God will put you in places.
And that's why I said that falling back and letting God do the work. So I'm sitting there and I'm almost saying, I'm like, in my head, I'm saying, God, I just thank you. When he says, no, I'm taking the VIP, I said, well, my daughter. I called my daughter. I'm like, my daughter is already kind of checked in. He said, no, just have her come back. Yeah. So my daughter says, Mom, you okay? What's going on? I said, no, everything's okay. I said, they're just moving us to VIP. And Mom was like, what? But I've seen these type of things happen. So everyone will say, oh, you always get, and no, it's not always that. Because sometimes I may have pushed or being charismatic, it has got me. But when I tell you I'm walking in a true, authentic, real way in having God and dedicating my life and getting back into church and going to church, just about every Sunday and really applying as I see you do, that consistency.
Yeah.
Things are showing up. So I'm just grateful.
It's that word I keep speaking, y'all. Consistency.
Yeah, definitely.
You gotta be consistent because people don't believe you.
Yeah.
They don't believe you. They believe you just trying something out this week. You're just trying something out today.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When they see you consistent, they're like, oh, no, she not playing. Let me see what's going on there.
Yeah, definitely.
Let me see what Jeri's doing. Oh, she not playing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They'll start taking you serious when they continue to see you. So
and it feels
that's
good
awesome.
now. And it's so funny. I even will feel like I wasn't living my real true life then. Mm-hmm. And I have to look in the camera and say that because to know where I'm at now and what I feel, it's not like, oh yeah, girl, I got it. And then I'm like,
oh God,
I may have it, or the money might be there in this season, or you know what I'm saying. And then having shout out to even my support, my girlfriends, and my sisters, and the people that believe in me, and even my best friend LeVar. Shout out to Trims of LeVar of Trims Barbershop in Freeport. Like he's been my best friend since 6th grade, and now it's like we're really back, like we never left.
Right.
But there was a part in my life where I veered off. But God is just realigning the people and allowing everything that I need, every need that I need to be met, being met. And sometimes I'm not even saying it.
Come on, and
it's just happening. So I'm just grateful for everybody, that's in my life. You know who you are. Some days I may not speak to my family and friends like I used to. It's not personal, guys,
right.
But I understand that there's a season where you truly are alone, or you have to be in a period where
you have to be in type of isolation. Nothing negative.
Yeah.
But isolation so you can just be moving.
Yeah.
What needs to be done. Just do me one favor, just push over
Sure.
this way because I'm realizing you're not even
sure.
in the camera. I'm so sorry, guys.
Yeah.
They probably like, somebody tell them.
I know. We here.
We here. I'm so sorry. Yes, but no, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What I love is this. I love your awareness.
Mm-hmm. Thank
that you've been through some changes. You knew this is my baby.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do shoes.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I know I'm going to be doing. But you also aware that certain changes that transpire, motherhood
mm-hmm.
was disruptive. Having a mate, these different things that transpire, but just still like I still know the gift.
Right.
I still know I still see the vision. So that says a lot. That says a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of people just give up. Like, listen, it ain't working. Like you mentioned Jay-Z and Beyonce, whoever, they ain't rocking it, so I guess anybody gonna pay.
Exactly.
And no, God will put you in the right places, and people be speaking your name, and you be like, I just happen to be in the area, or I just happen to be, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He'll open up those doors. She had to get back to herself. She had to get back to God so she can hear.
Yes.
And get back on point. So, I hope that helps somebody, because a lot of times we just want to just keep going, or we veer up, we get distracted because we're looking at other people. A lot of times, I'm going to keep it a buck with you. A lot of times, what you see other people got going on ain't even real.
Yeah.
So you're competing with an illusion.
Yep.
You're competing with something that's not even real. Amen. So when you focus and you do what God has called you to do, it's going to be blessed.
Right.
It's going to be blessed because it's you. It's going to be blessed.
Yeah. And also, too, just to complete what we discussed, or what you asked me, I should say, but one of the biggest things is, after holding on to so many things in my life that I didn't know how to let go, or I didn't want to let go, it cost me.
Yeah.
I did self-infliction by not letting go, because then you take things that are not even for you. Like you dealing with somebody's garbage that you had nothing to do with.
It's not even your fight,
why am I still here?
It's not even your fight.
Exactly. It wasn't my fight. I didn't do it to you. I didn't start. I may have finished some things now. There's some things that I may have finished out of some things that people have done to me that they look at me like, Jeri's, a bit much. But no, it was the part of sometimes insanity and our thinking where I'm going to keep doing good. So now you have even some women that, well, I'm going to do just what he did. That ain't it either.
That ain't the one.
You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, if I got to level up with you and sleep with 7 men just to feel like I'm on your level, to prove something to you. It's too much. But not even that. Like, I wouldn't even feel good.
Right.
Because I don't care how many Benjamins somebody threw. Right. But I don't even care how much money you threw at me. It wouldn't even impress me because I'm used to it.
Yeah.
My dad drives a bit. You understand? So there's certain things that I'm used to that doesn't impress me. I care about your mind and how you treat me.
Come on in here.
I care about the fact that if you're going to lead me, see, I watched my father lead a household. I'm not boasting, but I didn't know what a late notice was. I had my own late notices, but I didn't know what, the mortgage is not being paid, or the car being repossessed, or there's no food. I thank God I've never witnessed that growing up. And even with my children, sometimes, their dad will say, you do too much. And it's like, no, I don't want to do too much, because one, they didn't ask to come here. Right. And two, my quality of life, I should go harder, because if I don't want less for myself, why would I want it for my kids?
Yeah,
Sorry.
Yeah.
Why would I not want it for them? So sometimes, we all clash in different things, but I just look at it like this. Well, if you don't think it's feasible, no problem. I don't mind putting in the work.
Right.
I'll put in the work.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, I like to know that I'm not laying down to get it.
Ooh.
And it's hit my account, and guess what? You're not gonna talk to me any kind of way in order for me to feel like I gotta get this from you.
I'm wrong.
So let me just move that out the way, because that's another thing that just never worked well. But going back to
so that's another thing that never worked well.
It doesn't, and then people say, "Oh, Jeri," but it really doesn't though.
She slid that in there like
no, because at the end of the day, love shouldn't be contingencies.
Come on, ma'am.
It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be, I love you today because you're doing everything right. Because what about the days that you don't have 100 and I'm giving you 110, but yet you'll take the 110, but you want to give me half of that. Ooh. And then you watch women do so many things and be so superwoman, put on their cape and be superwoman like, and then you got men like, I don't want to do it, or thinking that if something is, the ceiling is leaking in your house, you got to go get a whole new house. How about just fix the ceiling?
Yeah.
So a lot of that instant gratification, microwavable era thinking is what has a lot of people not knowing how to stick out through things.
Yeah.
And again, I'm guilty of sticking too long in situations that were overdone. The fork was in it, and it was disintegrating. Exactly.
She's like, there was
no look.
It was maggots in that joint.
It was nothing evident that still showed that their loyalty or the commitment should have even still been there.
It was a wrap.
But it was there. So that's why life coach was important to me, and having healthy boundaries and getting back to that relationship that was big for me, because I said, you know what? There's things I forced in my life.
Yeah.
This right here.
This ain't gonna be it.
Not what I'm doing. I'm not forcing nobody.
Right.
No more. Even my kids, I tell them, listen, this is what we're gonna do. If it's not gonna work, this is just what it is.
Yeah.
You know, and you'll suffer the consequences on how it is. I said, I'm to the point now, I pray so hard that I'm like, I'm not gonna do nothing to you. I'm gonna let God just deal with you.
Yeah.
Because I think I might do something thinking I'm remedying the situation, and I made it worse. And now I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
At least I got too much to lose
than
to worry about trying to get back at somebody, make it bad for somebody. If you owe me my due diligence, just pay me.
Yeah.
And we can respectfully go our separate ways.
Yeah.
So even when that relationship, when I saw that there were things that were beginning to be harmful to me and my children, in the sense of just the mental well-being or lack thereof, I said, gotta go. And even in saying that,
peace be unto you.
It is. And I hope the good Lord comes in, you know, because like I said, when you got to start picking apart, if I'm going to do this, or, you know, or how my career may suffer. And when you know at the end of the day that you're the breadwinner for your home, and you don't have a to go to, or, you know, solely my kids are my responsibility, whether I have a Superman or not.
Right.
So that for me is important enough. That's a state of emergency for me.
Okay.
A high importancy. So with that being said, I'm gonna focus on this, because every distraction, everything that was sent to help or create a demise and me not finishing the finish line. And like you said, you know, there's people that are looking at things that are maybe an illusion or not even real. Tell me what race you ever saw run or ran where a person is looking at somebody like this
and
winning. You can't, because the minute you took your eye off the goal, somebody else just surpassed you.
Facts.
So having that tunnel vision in that sense of saying, you know what, been there, done that. This ain't working out for me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you go, and then to get a call, babe, I'm ready, or babe, I know I got to do this. And there's still some pruning but that was a call that I didn't make. That was you. Right. You know what I'm saying? And one thing I know about people, whether they follow what they're supposed to or not, notice how a child will know when they're doing wrong. They might be in the cookie jar, and you see them in the cookie jar, and they're looking back. There's a spiritual void in us that knows what's right and wrong.
Oh, we do. We absolutely do.
So it's whether you're listening to it, whether you're ignoring it, because hurt could have been planted there. So now you don't hear it, or you know it don't feel right, but you're still living wrong or doing wrong. Listen to that.
Yeah.
And like I said, when I started really listening even to that, I feel at least that my life is really, truly not at its best. It's not at its worst. But I'm at peace.
Yeah. Listen, that's at its best, honey. I just said it to a friend. She might be watching. I said, peace is everything.
It is.
2022, we done been through some things. Your peace should be up here.
Right.
You know, your peace should really, really be up here. If there ain't one thing that you learn from us to getting through pandemic, all kind of craziness going on in the world, everybody needs to be putting their peace as a priority.
Yeah.
Right now. And that comes with God.
Yeah.
You had to get back to God.
Exactly.
It's a human thing. It's a human thing. I think I saw a meme that showed it said sometimes it's better to just let go. And it showed the hand there was cord, there was a
cord, like rope I saw it, I think I saw it,
and it showed the hand release, and it was webs all around the arm. I said, you holding on this thing, but it's tearing your arm off.
That's what I was doing. In my past,
release, now it's better. You feel better.
That's exactly what I was doing, and that's why that song, Dwayne Woods, "Let Go and Let God."
Yeah.
And that's even when I don't know what to do, sometimes I just sing it. Let go and let God.
That's it.
Because
he be waiting for you.
Yeah, when you get out the way, and that's what I said, I have to get out the way. And not everybody understands everything. What I will say, people, even in the state of where we are as a nation, please, like, talk to somebody.
Yeah.
I'm a coach. I get coached. I have mentors. I have people that I
tap into that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll let you ask your question, but you know, go ahead. Definitely.
No, that was like basically like the segue of that. So you have the apparel, you have the clothing line, because I also want to understand the entities. You have the shoe line, right?
Yes.
Explain to them what what's the designs? Where does it come from? Like, what is that about?
To be honest with you.
And what type is it? Do you have just shoes? Do you have sneakers?
Right.
Like, explain that to
Okay,
me.
I have high heels. I have casual sneaker wear that are unisex. Some of the like the shoes that I make, I have high top sneakers. They all like casual, high end. The fabrics that I use, like I have a zebra black and white print. They're all the actual zebra print, animal print. The leather, python. They're all real materials that are made and manufactured in Italy, the Shoe Valley they call it, and they're made there, 6 to 12 days to make, and then they're shipped. DHL internationally, wherever you are, free shipping. So I do that. I have that, and as I embark into like this quota that I have with the contract that I have with my manufacturer, I go into e-commerce, which I'm kind of already e-commerce, but then I don't really have them backing me. Now I have the freedom to really freelance. So that's my quota to get where I'm actually sketching the shoes, and not using their
templates.
Their templates, gotcha. Right? Like the shoes, like these shoes of mine, like the mules, like this is their templates. Although this is my design, the glitter, and everything. But I definitely create that and whatever ideas that just come to me. I'm not gonna say I'm big on following what the trends are. If I like it and it's catchy, 9 times out of 10, if it's something that I like, I'm liking it, and it might be trendy.
Right.
So that's why I said it really just comes from what may catch my eye.
Yeah.
Not more so like, well, this person has this fabric mixed with this. But sometimes I might do something. I have my girlfriend Monique. Monique, if you're watching, she'll say, "Reed, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "But Mo, I like it."
Like, I like it.
Meanwhile, there might be a whole audience that might love it. Like there's a shoe. I have a yellow and black shoe, high heel shoe that I made, and it goes through an approval. So I have to make sure that I'm not creating a shoe that someone else has
done. Right.
Like
thank you for saying that.
Yeah, definitely. So, and then
you can get sued.
Exactly. Not only that,
be very clear.
I patent every shoe design I make is patent.
Please patent.
Yeah. So please do that.
Page due diligence.
Right. Patent, trademark. And also, I mean that's definitely. I'm actually going to start getting into some more trademarking of other things, like even quotes or different things that I start to say along with it. Like the gentleman, what's it on Hollywood Lock? What is it? Jamie Lee? What is it? Jamie Lee, the guy. He when Kaya was going off about saying Beyonce stole my line for her new Renaissance album, he was like, "Listen, if you don't back up, it was Kaya."
Who's Kaya?
The one, my neck, my back. Her.
Yeah.
She was saying nothing right, and he was saying, check this out. If you say one more thing about Beyonce, Gag Nation is mine, and some other word, gag.
Yeah.
And I was like,
yeah. No,
that's what's up.
You'll be surprised it's close that.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
So it makes sense, but just really understanding that, and like I said, the last shoe that I created, they compared it to Andy Warhol. He was the producer. He dealt with like Coca-Cola. Okay. He was a movie in the movies, but Andy Warhol, he like the patterns are like he's like known for these type of patterns.
Okay.
So when I made it, they were like, "This is wonderful." They said, puts us in the mind of Andy Warhol. So I'm like, "That's great. This is someone that already paved the way." Mm-hmm. So to know that I was going in a way with my thought process, and then getting the feedback from the design team when they approve it to go into production. This is the feedback they were giving me.
That's awesome.
So that's great to know that you're thinking and all you're doing is taking your mind and putting it to, these ideas.
Love that. Yeah. Listen, dare to be different.
Yes.
Dare to be different. You don't know who will see that thing and want to even pay you for it more than you would. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So dare to be different. Take risks. Every person that that is so-called successful, they've taken risks.
Yes,
they failed a lot. you would hear them speak about it. Like, oh, wait, no, because I thought that I was going to do it this way, and I didn't even realize I was losing money, and I didn't even know this, because I didn't know the legalities, and I lost this. I could have had this deal, but I wasn't, mature enough, or I wasn't listening at A, B, and C. Dare to be different and learn. Always research.
Not only that too, but you could speak that idea that God spoke to you in secrecy, and now you telling somebody, and then you look and you say, I was about to do that, and I listened to somebody.
Ignorance.
So I just be quiet, and not that I don't love what y'all tell me, and it might be to the left, but what might be to the left that you think would happen for me is where God may reign in on you. So be careful of that, because I feel I'm a lot further because I stopped. That's still, but wanting that validation, like, I love my family, I love my people, I really, really, really do, and my boyfriend will say, you trying to people please, and I'm like, it's not so much about people pleasing, but when you've been abandoned, when you've been in situations where you were alone because of your gifts, or because of what you knew that you may not have been able to put it into words, or because there were things that were birthing inside of you that no one could bear witness to, or could have been that teacher that said to you, I've had teachers, I've had lawyers, I've had judges say to me, you are going to do some great things in this world. Sometimes it didn't come from my inner circle. It came from people that just spend maybe a couple of minutes with me, because it's kind of like not putting prejudgments on people, but that's like if I came in here moving funny, you might be like, something's a little off.
Right.
You may not know what it is. Do you want to ignore that, or you may give somebody the benefit of the doubt? But then you might learn that they had a condition.
Right.
They might have had Tourette's.
Right.
You don't know.
Right.
But again, some of those things you are supposed to look into, but God will ultimately show you, someone's intent. It'll come out. You'll know.
Oh yeah. Listen, God is in a revealing season right now. He's been revealing since before the pandemic. He told us that thing was coming.
Yeah.
He's been revealing. So if you pay attention, he's gonna speak it.
Definitely.
Because he's not going to force you to bless you. He's not.
Yeah.
That's why you had to make a decision to cut certain people off.
Yeah.
So you can have that peace.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to fight with you. You already know you was hearing him say it anyway.
Exactly.
It just was going to have to be your time to say, I'm tired of doing this now.
Mm-hmm. And
I know I'm supposed to be furthermore.
Right.
Absolutely.
And the fear too.
Fear is a dream killer.
Yeah, fear.
It's a dream killer.
But a lot of people are working out of fear. Mm-hmm. Even when it comes to just confidently saying, I'm worth it. Like, what is it for you to... That's why I said, if you're not around somebody that's saying, Niche, you got it going on. Mm-hmm. You're not even... No, Niche, your crown is tilted. Mm-hmm. No, Niche, your crown is tilted.
Yes.
Fix it.
Right.
It's your delivery. It's a way anybody can take it and know that you're coming from a place.
Your intention.
Because if I'm coming from a place that means well, I won't try to expose you and make you look funny or embarrass you.
Oh, we were just talking about that.
I'm going to speak to you in a way where it's in a caring. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? Because it's all about your delivery. And a lot of times people get caught up on that. So like I said, and then again, just knowing those boundaries. But mental health, self-love, people say self-love is not only getting your nails done. It's not only getting your hair done. That's not about taking all these fabulous vacations. Mm-hmm. It's really about checking in and saying to myself, what could be better?
Yeah, absolutely.
What am I not right in, or what am I lacking? Yeah. Or, okay, why is this not working out? Because even when I speak about churches or where you fellowship, if you're not being blessed among that flock, it could be the head trickling down to the congregation. It could be a numerous amount of things. It could be just the fact that you're participating in somebody else's foolishness, although it's not in your house and you're not a part of it. You could be an ear to it. You could be a passenger to the drive in a situation. And then you're like, oh, well, I did everything. Like, God would have been like, yeah, well, you shouldn't have gotten in the car with that married woman.
Right.
Or that married man. Mm-hmm. So, and it's really those type of things that will keep us. Yeah. And not to say, we haven't participated or we want to be our best friends, keeper or sister's keeper or brother's keeper. But it's really about saying, you know what? If I do this, even though it's not a direct effect to me, how is it going to affect me? Mm-hmm. Or how is God going to see it for me? Mm-hmm. And not trying to be perfect, but you have to get to a place, because when you're trying to go higher, it may require just stripping yourself from certain things. Absolutely. There's things I want to go buy right now. I want to go get the car. I want to go get tomorrow. Yeah. But really, have I done enough to say that I can do this? Mm-hmm. And then am I still throwing myself out in positions to say, okay, I got a $900 car note, and I may have the money right now, but is it a consistent
Am I going to be
flow
sustained?
stream, right?
Yeah.
Am I going to be consistent? Because God will let you go out there and get it.
Mhm.
And you be like, oh, Jesus, the Lord is in it. And after 3 months, something happens.
Everybody like, I
You
ain't
know?
seen you out in the car. You looking like, I can't afford
I know. Exactly.
That
right?
joker pops.
Right,
I can't
exactly.
afford to even try that thing.
And you know, and it's so real.
It's
So sometimes my level of even authenticity is so real now because who you playing with?
Right. Right.
The person you telling the story to or yourself.
Exactly.
So I'm becoming okay with that. And I'm telling you, this wasn't always my claim to fame.
Yeah.
But like Cardi B, I love her.
Mm-hmm.
I love her. She may have her ways, she may do things, she may be a part of the whatever organization. Mm-hmm. But she tells it like it is. And now you over here meeting with Christian Louboutin and you meeting with Alexander McQueen and all these people that might shun you because you ghetto and you are strict. But at the end of the day, does she not keep it?
Come on.
A buck?
She's consistent. When I talk about consistent.
You know what I mean? So, and people, I feel because we're so, it's always like these glittering bells and whistles around what you're trying to say and do. She's just like, no, this is what it is.
Who I am.
And this is just
Take
what
it or
it
leave
is,
it. Take
right?
it or leave it. I love it. I love
so you can. I think people are striving for that because we're living in these illusions. We're living. My daughter and my sons went to the Apparel takeover on Friday, and I wasn't able to go. I was finished. I was actually working, and thank God. Shout out to my church family and the one of the church sisters that is a part of the youth department. She took my kids to Harlem, and my daughter was like, "Mom." They did a skit about Kim Kardashian, who I happen to love, but they were speaking about how the things that we get shunned or the what is it, appropriation or lack of appropriation. Right. We get shunned for having big hoop earrings and big cornrows, but they go and do it and it's like, oh my God, you're on the cover of Vogue magazine.
Like, you made that up. No.
Right. or you exactly, or they're the trendsetter. And my daughter said, Mom, it was so profound. She says, I want to do the art. I said, let's do it.
Love that.
Because it showed her that while we're being criticized and people are being elevated for it, like it allowed her to see things differently, but also the realness of who we are. And even my son, and he was like, Mom, it was awesome. And I'm like, you didn't want to go, remember? And then we laugh and he's like, all right, Mom. But I'm like, no. And I said, this is why I always, try to challenge you guys and expose you because if you don't get out your backyard or if you don't see the art, the Apollo and how we grew up with the Apollo and seeing talent being birthed out of there, Steve Harvey, D.L. Hughley, Jamie Foxx, they really got to see now or have an understanding where the art came from,
the roots.
And not, you're
Harlem, baby.
Exactly. What's up, Keith Sweat? If you can hear me now, but to really see that it wasn't degrading our women.
Right.
It was elevating. It was fun and humor. It was dance battles. It wasn't like, you disrespect me, I'm gonna just shoot your brains out.
Yeah, come on.
So I was so happy for that experience for them because I said, this is why mommy is the way I am.
Yes.
The village, my grandmother from the South and my grandparents that grew up out of Manhasset that, imparted things, and the fishing trips my grandfather would take me on that taught me patience. I didn't know how to exercise until just lately, but but those were the things that were character building.
Yes.
And then when people wonder why I can endure or I may be resilient, it was because I saw people that never quit.
Right. Come on.
They weren't perfect, but they never quit.
They pushed through, honey.
They pushed through. And that big thing.
Y'all giving up.
No. Push through. And if you if you ever even think like that, I'll be like, Niche, where you at? I'm coming to get you. You know what I mean? Because we need to know that. Because somebody would love to see you quit.
Absolutely.
And your podcast is about to get syndicated.
Waiting for it, child.
Well, listen. Yeah. Well, listen.
I just posted something the other day. It said, let them be, what is it? I forgot what it said.
Nah.
The video of me walking, and the word says something on the lines of, there's people waiting for you to fail.
Yeah.
Make sure they're very much disappointed or something like
that.
I
saw that.
Something like that.
But do me a favor, unsubscribe to them. And unsubscribe to that entity, because the one thing, like, even I don't even watch the news, but when I go through social media, I have to put a timer on it now. I see things that I don't want to see, like the young man.
Oh no, I do block parties, child.
Yeah, like
if it's too crazy, I'll block you. It's not that serious.
But no, not even that though. But I'm to the point now where if something doesn't sound good or somebody's trying to break apart somebody's character or who they are, I'm like, I just, you could just tell I'm bothered.
You're
by
gone.
it. Yeah, like, not like you're got me so bothered, like, I'm gonna quit, but I'm just like, are you there?
That's called peace. Checked out.
Yeah, that's because if I gotta feel like that's gonna make me happy, because there's some people that go out of their way to find that, or just come around just to hear that. I want to hear that you thriving and that you taking trips and the kids are being left because you going on a vacation with your husband and you chill. That's what it's supposed to be like. Not you trying to figure out certain things just to find a peace. Yeah, it's a decision. Right. So my thing is, what's your decision gonna be? Yeah. You know, and what's it gonna serve? Because when you're really truly happy, you don't mind extending your hand to somebody else. You don't. You sure don't. You don't mind saying, you know, even if you secure, have it, you don't mind. You don't mind because you know it ain't gonna affect you at all. Mm-hmm. You know what God has for you, so you're secure in that. Yeah. Oh, and I'm excited about all the billionaires and millionaires I'm gonna be sitting with on platforms. Because you know coming. Why? I went to Ronnie Brown was one of the key speakers. Her. I met her. She happens to be stunning too. Yeah, she is. She's beautiful. And I met Mandy, who's doing Full Cup Pump. She just got her break with a podcast just a couple of months ago. I got the chance to meet him. My girlfriend Marguerite, she invited me to the platform as one of her guests. She was a key speaker as well, and she said, "You guys may be wanting our numbers or our information." She said, "But look around. Everybody that's sitting here, you'll be in forums and platforms." That's it. Let me tell you how true it is already, because there was a young lady that was on Lizzo's Watch Out for the Big Girls segment. Mm-hmm. And when I was in LA, she was doing the BET where she was one of the dancers. So she was on Prime doing the auditions and the I forgot the I don't know if it was a show because I didn't watch it, but I happened to have met her. Okay. Right after that, Lizzo and her had a sit down. Mm-hmm. Lizzo. Yeah, mm-hmm. I can mix somebody's name up sometimes, but she got the opportunity to get mm-hmm. back with her. They ironed out their differences, and she was out there in LA. And then even my brand ambassador Cameron, he's doing videos with Saucy. He might be on the Bobby loves the Zeus network where they're doing he's looking for love. Oh, Bobby Light, yeah. So I'm saying all of these people, all the connections are happening. Mm-hmm. And it was just wonderful because that was an interesting piece. While you're looking to look for Ronnie, mm-hmm. Ronnie's with her set of people, you know, and even coming from that forum, I met people that were connected, and it brought me back to what she said. Connections. Definitely. So it is God true knows about what he's that. Doing. Yeah. Listen, yeah. The vital piece that you said was I had to remove the distractions mm-hmm. and get back to God and get my peace. Mm-hmm. Once you do that, things just start to flow. Right. It's not even forced. Mm-hmm. It's just gonna happen. Right. Like I said, he waits for us. Mm-hmm. He never goes anywhere. It's us who, you know what I'm saying? It's us who let the outside noise distract us and get us off course. God is always waiting for us. So that's all we really have to do is surrender and be like, okay, I hear you now. What we doing? And then he will just start to make ways for you. But that and the trusting part, mm-hmm. because you have to trust. Like I said, I get back to my girl. She said, Jeri, the way you see things happen or the way favor happens in your life, I can't understand why you won't trust. And I'd say, Mo, you're right. You're right. But as much as I can trust myself or thinking that I'm trusting myself in certain things, do we have to understand in that same ability, you have to understand that you have the ability to destroy it. Oh yeah. So as you're worrying about the trusting, understand that there's a part of the building or the taking down of something. Because see, trusting certain things sometimes and knowing that if I was controlling it was more important to me than allowing things to play out. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because I had to feel like, well, if it got messed up, it's because I did it. Right. And that's. But you know that also that's bad. That also can come from the abandonment. Right. Certain things you went through, mm-hmm. because when you're unique, you have to spend a lot of time with yourself, mm-hmm. and you also have to spend a lot of time with seeing other people look like their situations better because they have other people with them. Right. When you got to deal with things on your own. Right. So growing up, the natural response is to, I can do it. Right. You know what I'm saying?
if I'm doing it, I trust me.
Right.
When God is saying, I don't want you to trust
Exactly.
you. I have the better answer. I have the better way. But I'm not going to fight with you for
Right.
this. So you're going to keep bumping your head
Mhm.
because you want to keep doing this.
Exactly.
But you keep doing this because you're used to dealing with things on your own.
Right.
Used to problem solving on your own because
Mhm.
other people don't understand or
Right.
didn't understand you.
Right.
So a lot of things you had to figure out on your own because you were alone.
Right.
Even because you could be alone and be in a room full of people.
Yeah, and a lot of times that is
unfortunately
been the situation, because my mentor Samiko, she would say, I don't understand, why are you looking outwardly first and not inwardly?
Mm-hmm.
And just sometimes people taking time to listen to what you're saying can help you understand what you better need to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But then you have to be in a place where you're trusting and then you're vulnerable. And that's another thing. Being vulnerable enough to say, there are things I don't like about me. How can I self-correct, or how can I make that better? That's why I said every coach needs a coach.
I was gonna please tap into
and
where
understand,
that came from.
Right? Because you know, well,
no, what made you become a life coach?
My sister was a part of this forum called Landmark. And there were things, we all have our childhood traumas and issues, and we come up with certain things, and we wonder why fear is set in. And, I had one sibling that a teacher told her she didn't get something right, so she told her to sit in the corner. My mother never knew it. I didn't learn this till like maybe a couple of years ago, maybe a year or two ago. So while you're wondering, but while you're wondering why you're stagnated or in the way of yourself, you have to ask yourself, and a lot of it goes back to your childhood.
Absolutely.
So, where you wanted to speak, you could have told, be quiet and sit in the corner and don't get up. And meanwhile, it stunts you. That's why there were times when I was allowing my children to have, they call it a shared control. Mm-hmm. But it was like, I'd rather know what they're thinking and feeling inside, because
then I'm holding it in.
When I wanted to go on Star Search, it never happened for me. Yeah. It did something to me.
Yeah.
And a lot of things that happen to us as children do things to us that either make you either the best version of yourself or the worst version of yourself.
It's going to show up. Either way, it's going to show up.
And then having to say, you know what, I didn't get it now, but I can get it later. Yep. And still believing in that. And then when I finally got to a place where I was just like, why am I trying to fit these cookie cutting situations? Or, if I do good today, like my dad bought me a car on my 17th birthday and was like, well, you won't get the car until you do everything and get everywhere you're supposed to be, or have certain things in alignment, or the way I want it, or on time, or it could be anything.
Right.
So now you're putting these expectations and pressure that if I don't make it, go tell your kid, if you go out there and mess your pants up, I'm gonna whoop you.
Right.
That's a verse. That's the first thing that's gonna happen. It's just like Murphy's Law. Yeah. They're not gonna maybe intentionally. Now you've put this pressure and demand on them that if they do
they can't even have fun now.
Yeah, this is what they're looking at.
Yeah.
So I was like, I never forget coming home, walking from Freeport High School or Dodd, whichever one it was, Freeport High School, and seeing the car and the balloon waving from the
ribbon.
The ribbon. No, it wasn't a ribbon. It was a balloon from the antenna. Because that back then it was antenna on the car, and I was just like, and then my father was like, yeah, when you do everything you're supposed to, then you'll get it. I swear to God, I said, keep it.
Yeah.
And I said, keep it, because if your expectations may have not been unrealistic, but if that's what it meant for me to have it, I don't want it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because while we are putting expectations even on our kids sometimes to be perfect, and we not, how can you demand that from me when
that one right there, what they say, that part?
I said, so I said, I don't want it. And then from then, everyone was like, you crazy. And I'm like, no, I don't want my love to have contingency. I don't want to feel like, if I do everything, because, what if my way may show you something greater? Yeah. What if who I'm doing, and even the fact that I put on J.Gross, that's my family. Those are my parents. That's my siblings. When I put it on now, even if my oldest son, who, is going to be greater, I know later, if not now, but when I say, when you wear my clothing, or when you go outside of the community and you're doing things I don't like, put it, if you're going to do it, don't wear it.
Yeah.
Because what I'm trying to birth and what I'm trying to do is not make it better like it's Louis. It's more about what I'm fighting and wrestling with to be.
Come on, Mom.
It's about the fact when you see that it will draw a positive attention that is that it's respectful, that it's caring, is given. Not this negative, well, every time, you wear J.Gross, something goes wrong.
Right.
Because what you're birthing will come out even in what you put on. I can give you something that can have the worst spirit attached to it and negative intent, and you like, I don't want this.
Come on.
So it's the truth. It's the truth.
Yeah.
So when I say these things, even when I make things and I pray over it, one of the ladies that I made a jacket for, and I when I was giving it to her in front of the Hilton Hotel in the city, I said, Lord, Father God, please, in the name of Jesus, let this jacket cover her. Let her do wonderful things in it. And she texted me. I'm like, well, Sonny, what happened? Didn't get a response. Oh, 2 weeks later, she says, a text, Gross. She calls me Gross. I meant to tell you, my daughter wanted me to especially thank you. She came in 4th place in the competition. She said, but especially for your prayer. Ooh. So again, I might have been the vehicle that made the clothes, but ultimately what touched her was my prayer.
God gonna speak when he gonna speak. It happens to me all the time.
Do you know how liberal it is? Yeah,
Listen,
I know.
I had a customer.
Everything you
I had a customer husband say they thought that was something I was just doing.
Right.
And I said, oh no, I don't play with God, beloved. I don't know y'all from nowhere.
Exactly.
I said, while I was making this shirt, God started speaking to me. And he was like this. And she was like this. I said, oh no, I don't play with that.
Yeah,
I don't play with that.
Yeah.
I said, while I was speaking, this is exactly what God said to me. I said, I don't know y'all from nowhere.
Exactly.
Clearly I know what it's about, and I don't.
Exactly.
So
and you've helped me.
Huh?
You've helped me.
Yeah.
You've had conversations and you helped me.
I don't play with that.
Yeah.
So God knows what he's doing. There's, it's a material thing, but it's a spiritual thing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
My pastor taught me that what you're doing is in the physical has spiritual consequences.
Right.
So if you're wearing, it's a garment.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It's a garment. The Bible speaks about garments.
Right.
Look into that. Okay. So this thing is serious.
You heighten my awareness with the garment. I know about the full armor, but
your name is everything.
Right.
So your name being in a certain space or in a certain area or whatever the case may be, that reflects you.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, thank you for sharing that. Now, what I wanted you to tap into, we're going to close up.
You sure? I was ready to keep going.
One of the things that, I keep speaking to people about also is, having mentors, having people that are in your life that pour into you,
right,
to keep you at a space where you're being positive,
right,
where you're even speaking to your own life because this person has said a certain thing, like you said, with Ronnie Brown or whatever,
right.
Do you have a mentor, and how did this happen?
Definitely. Well, I have waist beads.
Okay.
So I
tell the people what that is.
Okay, waist beads are, this is good. Mr. Miko just had me give a whole outline of my experience with her. I met her about 4 years ago, and I wanted them to help shape me, which they're doing it. It's been a couple of years now, but they're starting to do their thing. And some people I don't really share with because they might think, well, is it not spiritual? Mm-hmm. First of all, I really feel whatever your relationship is with God, because I'm not going to say I'm religious, I'm spiritual.
Right.
A lot of times we're led to do things that we don't always have a knowing of why we're doing it, but we're led spiritually. So for me, that became more of an importance then, because, we have two different Bible versions. You have the Old Testament and you have the New Testament. Mm-hmm. So there are things that are critiqued, but I feel in spirituality, it's really a feeling of a knowing of what you feel you're doing, because a lot of things that you're drawn to is what your body or your higher self will know you should have, or you should be doing. You shouldn't have, right? Even eating, like I've learned, I'm eating differently. Mm-hmm. My daughter's like, Mom, okay, I like soda. Sometimes she's like, no, we got to kick the soda, and I'm like, okay, all right, Milan. I cheated, Milan, by the way, but I had anyway. I'm not gonna say how many I had, but I know. But that's another thing too, being real and also being accountable and knowing what I'm doing. That's another big piece. But Mr. Miko came in my life way of a girlfriend that I met. I managed a group called the Cake Boys a couple of years ago, and one of the girls, the Cake Girls, I don't know, I think she was doing my hair, and I saw the waist beads, and I'm like, Miss Devine, I'm like, I want to get them. So she was like, okay,
you want to get them because you felt they look cool, or you already knew about them?
No, it was more the shaping. But when I learned about them, when I met Mr. Miko, it's really a spiritualness. Mm-hmm. It's like it grounds you. I like the last 4 years of my life has truly changed. It's
You been
like
winning for 4 years?
Yeah.
Wow.
I had more. I've even had shoulder surgery and gone into shoulder surgery, and they're like, you have to take them off. I said, no, I'm not. So there were two sets of surgeries. I had one here on my left shoulder and one on my right. And the first surgery, my left, I did take them off. The second one, I was like, no. He was like, well, can you roll them up? I said, sure, I can roll. I said, but I'm not taking them off because I understood the assignment. I understood what it meant for my life. It's almost
what does
like,
it mean?
Well, when you pick them, first of all, she has them. They are blessed. They come from Ghana, Tanzania, different places in Africa. They're blessed. So they're blessed by spiritual.
You say like they're prayed over.
They're prayed over.
I want you to tell the people.
Right, they're prayed over, and when they come, Mr. Miko, she'll pray over you, or you'll pray with her, and then she doesn't have you look in the basket. You will pick from your right hand, and you pick out each bead. So there was one time I had a bunch. Some girls like, girl, how many do you have? You don't really show them, but in some cases they may, I may make them visible, but I don't go out of my way to be like, hey,
that's because it's sacred. That's what I wanted you to go into, because my brain. It's just my brain. That's why I probably got a podcast. I ask a lot of questions.
No, that's great.
My brain would tell me that this is something that's personal.
Right, it is. Because it's
like yesterday I saw somebody with theirs outside of their daggone spandex, and I was confused.
Yeah.
I was like,
yeah.
Sometimes what those mean? I was like,
yeah.
I don't know what's going on right now.
Like in some cases, like when you wear them, you're supposed to drink alkaline water. Mm-hmm. You're supposed to walk. I used to walk a lot, do lives, and just speak. And as I really got into it, the beauty of it is when you pick from the basket of them after they're blessed, mm-hmm. and she anoints you and prays over you and anoints your stomach and stuff. One, you got to feel comfortable and trust somebody. And based on her testimony, because if you don't have a story, then how can I believe that what you're doing works for you if you don't have a testimony or people that can give a testimony of it? So she went through things and learning that, and then going through the process of finally saying, let me pick it. So what's interesting is that's why I said your higher self will lead you to what's for you.
Right.
So each color represents something. It can mean white, can mean purity, love, marriage. It can mean all different types of things. As you start to do the work, sometimes they'll break. Sometimes they'll just fall off.
And so what does that mean? Like God will speak to you what that means?
Right. Like
I'm weird. I've always called myself different.
No, please don't because nothing's weird.
No, that's why I stopped. That's why I stopped when I said weird. But I've just always been different. Like I know, like I feel and I believe that certain jewelry that would be attached, like certain people will purchase me certain things.
Right.
And once it was like a wrap for them, that thing would just be missing. I wouldn't know what happened. I would just take it like, okay, God removed that person.
Well, right, because it's almost like a point of like when your season's done, or even a level of your life, like trust. I had to learn to trust, or why am I looking for outside vices or outside people or things to help validate who I already know that I am.
Right.
So once you know who I am, that's why I walk in this authority that I feel like God has already given me. But once you start looking for outside things or feeling like people are offending you, why are you taking it personal? Because sometimes they're offending themselves, or the God in you is offending them. So they're coming at you.
Yeah.
When you got to really say to yourself, when you say I'm out here helping people, I'm in the jails, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm a family, woman, I'm married, I have my kids, I have my big, like what's wrong? Sometimes you're under attack. So even in understanding what each of these colors represent and mean, it's an area in your life that either needs to be worked at, changed, or God is trying to bring your awareness to. So
love that.
As things started happening, like there was a lot of like tribals that I was associated with. Like she'd be like, my God, like royalty and high tribal. I know I'm a part of like I'm Indian tribal, but there were things that I was pulling that had to do with like anger. Or like there was this leader that of one of the beads of Tanzania, or one of the colors that represented a tribal that was like, he was a fiery ruler. So she'd be like, be careful, Jeri, with your anger or your emotions. Yeah. So now even when things happen to me, I'm like, okay, because you could throw a snowball and I would throw an avalanche.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like the action is because
that was good.
I didn't understand. I always give the analogy, what is it? Beavis and Butt, was it Beavis and Butt? When they would do Dumb and Dumber, when they would do certain things, like one would do the most little minute thing and the other one would do, that would beat me. I'd be like, you tap me and I'd run over you. You know what I mean? Like, so, I mean, like, literally, like, it was just like, no, come down. So, when you
like 0 to 100 real quick.
That's why I say, so when you want to understand, when you're in positions, even as a leader, there's things that you might watch people do that God has to deal with you on how to come down from that. Because you could have been all right about what you did, and your response is what killed everything that you were right about.
Who is she helping tonight?
You
that know what right there.
So I learned that, and I give her, and I appreciate her because she would challenge me on that. And then I'd call her with things that sometimes had nothing to do with me, and there were other people, and she'd be like, why are we on the phone talking about this? I can't even take this in. So it's like, I don't call her as much, but we always speak often enough when we need to, because I'm a part of, the Salvation Army committee of Hempstead, Long Island. I'm also involved with Grameen, a ladies platform, Grameen. You can look up Grameen. I can give you information later on, that help give women, funding without credit, and it helps build your credit. So I'm a part of that, which one of my other sisters just got a contract for $2.5 million. So I said, Father God, I thank you. We're in the arena where we need to be. If you're sitting amongst the millionaires, like I said, and the billionaires, what do you think you'll attract, or what will come out of it? Honey. Exactly. So she would allow me and bring me back to the same point. Everything starts and ends with you. So what is it speaking to you about you? What is it speaking to you about relationship? What is it speaking to you about how you allow people to keep coming back doing the same things? And somehow you think, okay, it's a snake, it's insistent, and it's got it's wiggling around. Oh no, but it kissed me just like a duck. No, but it was a snake. So why are you trying to make it more than, or make it not what it is? Call it for what it is.
Call a spade a spade.
So, and that's another
thing. Just because you pour syrup on stuff don't make pancakes.
Yeah. So,
help somebody tonight.
She said, stop. She said, Jeri, stop talking yourself out of what you already know. My brother-in-law, Dwayne, Jeri, God keeps just telling me, you know what you know. Yes, stop doubting yourself. Stop doubting. Because if I can make you think that you're not who you are, you can walk in there owning it. And somebody, who do you think you are? Daughter of the Most High.
I'm a child of the King.
Right. I'm a child of the Throne.
My kids, soon as I ask them, who are you? They tell me, I'm a child of the King.
Exactly.
Immediately.
So I'm not trying to, if I offended your spirit, I'm sorry, then you need to go back home and you need to recheck why you are offended. Because it don't have nothing to do with me.
Because offense is taken, not given. Yeah. Yep. Be very clear. Come on, we could be here all night.
I know. We
got to have you come back. We got to have you come back and talk amongst the ladies, so we can have some real conversations. But thank you so much just for everything you shared thus far. So now, the life coach, is that like a business? Is that something that you're very active in? How does that go?
I'm not really utilizing it, and I know my girlfriend Marguerite's gonna beat me up for that, because I give a lot of what I give freely.
Okay.
And I'm even learning, even through certain business endeavors, and just really, like, I had an order that was approved, and then I moved forward in doing the order that was approved, and then a family member says, "Oh, I don't like this," and because I want to appease my customers or whoever I'm doing business with, I double back, and I actually wound up working through the night. But I saw the greater side of what God was trying to show me. One, it was about doing it, and sometimes it's about completing things even when you don't want to.
Come on in here.
But also she
just stepped on my little toe.
But also too, I'm gonna tell you, if you're working for a company, or if the jail says, okay, you gotta stay late and you're not getting compensated, do you think you're gonna do it? It's the same thing when it comes to our business. Gotcha. So even me wanting to appease in my business, you gave me an approval in enough time that your order would have been done and completed the night you needed by, and now I'm doing extra work.
Gotcha.
So putting a price on what you do and what you're worth and standing by it is important.
Right.
I don't care if such and such is such and such is friends, and because at the end of the day, my cousin told me, like she said, Jeri, in business there are no friends.
No.
But I deal out of a place, of compassion, though. But you gotta know, compassion And
compassion
also,
gonna feed your kids.
Exactly.
And trust me, people not having compassion. They're not thinking about compassion when
Yeah.
they're going in a Louis store.
Yeah.
They kicking that money out.
Yep.
Well, some, because I know some of y'all wearing fake stuff.
Yep.
But no, I'm keeping it a buck.
Exactly.
Don't
Or they getting it free, or somebody boosting it.
You having compassion
right
about something you put your hard work into,
Right.
your dreams, your thoughts. Your mind is constantly going about your baby being birthed. You having compassion by not pricing the way you need to price it. They getting over.
Or not even that. And to come out and I said, what's the real problem? Mm-hmm. Oh, you know how family reunions go. You know, somebody didn't pay them the money for their shirts or did something or didn't do something. So what it taught me is, once I get the approval, I'm not doubling back.
Right.
Because you couldn't do that somewhere else.
Right.
2, the other thing is, when I do any type of those orders, I'm getting paid up front.
Yeah, I don't do deposits below.
Yeah, I did half deposit up front.
Never have.
And so now, no, what? But definitely with those.
Never have.
No, and I salute you. And again, me knowing now, because what happens is when other people don't do what they're supposed to do, and you're left with that responsibility, whether you have it or not, you still gotta deliver. And I just said respectfully, you owe me $275. That's the balance. Yeah. You know, and then
nobody owe me nothing.
And then there was another no, but you and I respect that too, but that's the part where sometimes not even having someone to say kick in, because I know how to be when it's time to be. Like when you come in to offend me is different, but I've been in a place where I needed grace, so I may extend it. You know, and there are times where
that's different.
Right.
That's different.
So, but if she would have just said,
that's a moment of like, let me do this.
But if she would have said that instead of you trying to make me feel like something that wasn't done to your liking or somebody had an issue with it, but if you needed an approval from the committee, why didn't you have the committee approve it collectively? Right. Why would you make the call since you're the one that's overseeing it?
You jumped the gun.
Right, and then we're doubling back and doing all of this stuff to get what needed to be done. But like I said, I even took on a challenge because in business and in times you're going to have to be
absolutely
the person staying up and cutting the cheese or whatever it is you have to do to make sure that you deliver.
Right.
But more importantly, this is my name.
Absolutely.
So there was a time, right? Your brand, and one thing about my dad is a stickler. Everybody knows it, but mean what you say and say what you mean. If he's gonna tow your car, hook up quick, you're gonna pay that money.
Right.
But me on the other hand, my mother, she's give it the benefit of God and this and that. And there's times you need to exercise that. Mm-hmm. But I respect him in that regards for that. But we still differentiate. But I get it. Mm-hmm. I get it because people will drive you, and depending on the situation, you may give that. Mm-hmm. But in most cases, everybody trying to run, and shout out to all the Black entrepreneurs and stuff.
Yeah, shout out to everybody who's doing it.
But like I said, having your mission statement, having your guidelines and your non-refunds or by a certain hour, have those in place.
Absolutely.
Don't freestyle because
don't leave room for games to be played with you.
Right, because even that too sometimes it sways me away from doing certain business with certain people because. Listen, even when I go in the stores and they try to say, well, you can't refund this, and I'll go to their website and I go, where does it say that? Because I was in corporate, I worked for Viacom. So I know what is corporately acceptable.
The legalities.
The legal. Don't tell me something you don't have it written in your store or on your website to substantiate what you're saying.
What we doing?
Because people, they good for doing that too now because so many companies are losing bit. Well, we didn't say, I said, no problem. I said, I know how this goes. I work for corporate. I could be a mystery shopper. Right. You don't even know.
How about that?
So they'll look like, oh, okay. And I'm like, yeah, because if I was a different color.
Like, stop playing.
And I hate to say it, and not calling it, but if I was a different color, your losing regulation might be different.
Your energy
would
be different.
I'm going to just give you what I know the white, black, brown, whatever color is to be. And I'm going to give you what your verbiage is. And we'll go from there. But yeah.
Oh, man. So the life coach thing, you're not like operating in it as much as you would like to.
I operate too freely. No charge. I really do because again, understanding that one of my life callings is to help.
Now let me.
So
I'm not even being funny right now, but explain what a life coach is, because some people they hear it. Because
right.
I'm not being funny. A lot of people just putting titles on their name. They
Right?
like,
No.
I'm coach such and such. You like, what do you coach?
Yeah.
Where's your followers? Or who you got? What's happening?
Exactly.
What are you doing? What are you talking about? Because you always look mad. Like,
Right.
so who's following you?
Exactly.
So explain
no,
what that is.
What a life coach is you go through a certification. You go through an in-person hands-on training for about a weekend. It depends on the level of life coaching you're trying to ascertain. So with that being said, a life coach is different from a therapist. A life coach is a person that helps you find the answers from within.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. You may already know the answer. I may just come along to confirm it. So a lot of it is taking the pieces within yourself. You're doing a lot of mirroring. So when you say, niece, what do you want? Well, I want to be successful. Okay, my next question would be, what is stopping you from being successful?
Right.
And you will tell me all the things.
Mm-hmm.
You just answered your own question.
Mm-hmm.
So as a life coach, you're giving that person the ability to help them self-reflect on the answers, and they're getting the answers from within.
Right.
Which is different from a therapist that you go through the schooling and, I may, and again, I don't know all the terminologies. Again, I'm not a doctorate or psychologist or a therapist. I didn't go to, I did go to Malloy, but I didn't go to get a psychology major education. So no disrespect or degree to anyone that has it. I just know there's a different level of it, but it really has you to look within. And we're considered even to mandated reporters. We're not like legally binded to as maybe like a therapist or a doctor maybe, but we really just help you acquire the answer from within.
Right.
So that's what's really dope about it. It was like a weekend you do it. You go through like a whole hour, like it's a 9 to 10 hour deal. Yeah. No, but it's when I tell you,
year.
No, it is.
My certification.
I did that. I did it when I got it certified. Actually, when you look me up on Credibly, I come up on Credibly, so that way it shows you, that I did. It's like an entry level one back in 2016. I'm looking to further it, but maybe even get into a degree about it once I master the one or two of the many things I have going on, because you can't be everywhere either. Trying to do a bunch of things. So I'm learning that too. But really, that part for me helped me, because when you're able to look inside yourself or look inside and see from the characteristics or from the categories that you may fit in, you'll see that's me.
Right.
And it's harder when you hear it played out or role played in a situation where you say, oh my God, that's myself.
Right.
Just like some people are having kids after kids after kids in a situation or in a relationship or a marriage, and you go through, it's great, and it's the honeymoon stage, and then you're back to where you started. That was me at one point.
Right.
Because the babies don't make it better.
Say that one.
So it had everything to do with
who's she talking to?
Right? It has everything to do with the fact too, when you can realize that by you walking away made you the better person. And just realizing that what you wanted from that situation wasn't going to bring you what you wanted, no matter how much you did. Yeah. Right? Because and then even being able to apologize to yourself, or even to the person that you offended by being in a situation. Right. That was real for me. I had to be like, you know what? That wasn't the relationship or the situation for me, and I respectfully apologize to you. But there's still a responsibility here that needs to be kept and met. Absolutely. So don't hate me for that, because that I didn't do by myself. Okay. But the parts that I didn't do differently, by walking away and dealing in my life better and doing things better, was the win for me.
Right. Love that. Ah, Miss Gross.
So
Mother, listen, apparel, shoe line, clothing line, life coach, you're a mentor as well. What? Oh, are you a big reader?
You know what? It depends if it truly interests me. I'm getting back into that, actually. Okay. I am, because that's sometimes if it's not something that really targets what I want, or I know it's something to the next level, I don't really apply, which is not a good thing, but I'm working on it. And that's what I'm really even identifying more things, because when you're a reader, like you said, even certain things when it comes to logistics or legality, I've become big on that, because I don't like going into something and being wrong
just,
or not
no,
knowing.
just not
yeah.
knowing.
Right.
Like you want to know.
Because they think because of this, who you might be, that you don't know.
Yeah.
And I hate that. So I'm going to go one
due
better.
diligence.
We're going to read this together.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's like, because they say, if you want to keep something from a black person,
put it in the book.
Put it in the book.
Mm-hmm. That's why I always ask my guests, if they're readers, because I like to let the audience know these are certain books. Right. This is how you got to the certain places you are. Because
I have a couple though that I do. Definitely one of mine is Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Oh yeah.
Definitely one. A new one. I can't think of the lady's name. The Conscious Parent.
I have that.
With the lady, the Indian lady.
I didn't finish reading it though.
Me neither. But let me tell you how, like, the example, one of the best things, even as I got into it, I was like, oh, this is good. Giving natural consequences. Mm-hmm. Telling your kids, okay, the light bill is crazy. I keep asking you to turn the light off. Mm-hmm. I got one better. I'm on school. She says, I'm unscrew the light bulb. Mm-hmm. So when you unscrew the light bulb and they go to flick it, they don't have no lights. Who wants to be in the dark? Right. So now you didn't terrorize your child. You didn't beat them, or you didn't, consciously make them self-conscious that they're so aware that they're unaware, even when you're telling them to do something, because that's psychological too. Mm-hmm. So now you've taken something that's naturally there away from them, and now they're like, oh gosh, this isn't working. Figure this out. And you didn't have to go crazy to do it. So I really love that, because it's true. Sometimes the natural, me too. It's funny. I just looked at it today that there was a great read that I got when I went on the View. Whoopi Goldberg gave us out something, The Creature, and another book that explains about the Hollywood story with the Stevie Harvey Weinstein. Oh, like what happened in narrative and his interview. I got that's another book that I got. But just other self-awareness books. The Path of the Purpose-Driven Life. The Purpose-Driven Life. I haven't finished that one yet. I have a very good book. I know. Let me tell you a book that I carry that's in the car, if I'm not mistaken. I might have taken that because it's maybe in another bag. But it's called The Prayers That Root Out Demons. The Prayers That Root Out Demons. It's ROUT. When I say it's heavy, speaks about spiritual warfare, the right ways of prayers. Talk about mental schizophrenia. It speaks about your money and how to pray, and just timing. It just breaks down different either scriptures out of the Bible that tell you in those specific areas what to pray for and what to do. Come on with that one. I'm gonna have to write that down. Matter of fact, when we get it, I'm gonna send it to you. That's so cool. You can have it. But because a lot of things that we're battling are not flesh. They're cardinals. They're like so when you say, oh, somebody doing something to me, I used to believe that sometimes. Mm-hmm. You can't do nothing to me. And the reason why I say you can't do nothing, because my scriptures, what I believe in, what I even allow my spirit, who I even indulge myself within, and it almost gives an air like you're better. And no, let me be very clear. It's not about being better. It's knowing who you are. Mm-hmm. It's walking in the authority. It's having the wisdom and the know-how, and to say, if somebody tells you you won't live and you believe it, you allow that to enter your subconscious, and then you have allowed it to do its harm in your mind and your life, and it takes over. So once you have it in your mind, it just follows suit. So you'll start believing it. You might, somebody could tell you you're gonna die, and you walking around looking I got 3 days to live, and you might walk in front of a truck and you dead. I told you such and such is gonna die, because you've now consumed that, and then I've allowed your mind to accept that. Yeah, right. So when it goes back to scripture, that when God gave his only begotten son, and again, I love Muslim principles, so I'm not gonna say I'm all God when it comes to just Christianity, because there's some beliefs in different ethnicities that I respect. Right. And God is a respecter of all people, so we can just break it up to different denominations. But if I love you and their principles that you believe in, if I care enough about you, I may not have to endorse them, but I can respect them. Right. You understand? So getting back to when I say, Shanice, you can do all things through Christ, God said it when he gave his son. Because whatever rights that we have through our Lord and Savior, through Jesus, he imparted in us. So when people don't go out here and exercise under that authority, they're other people are conflicted. Right, they're living beneath, but they're taking things that you have the power to say, I don't receive that report. Exactly. I don't receive what you said. No, you ever like? There's some people that tell you, well, what do you mean? I'm a doctor. I don't care what doctor you are. Yeah, I know a doctor that's greater. Okay. I know a doctor and a lawyer that took me out of trouble, or I got pulled over and I didn't even need to call anybody or pull out a PBA card because something touched that cop, and they said, you know what, just be careful, have a good day. And I was on the phone in the wrong, all the way wrong. But guess what I said? I said, officer, my son was going through something, and I said I was trying to pull over. I made an illegal U-turn with a cell phone. I said, I'm apologizing, but I was savvy enough to get back on the phone with my the teacher at the time, and I had him on speaker. He could see that there was a real issue. Right. Like one thing, and another thing too. Do things that you can be credible about. Because the one thing that will strike you, I've had people say things and I'll go, listen, I'm a notary. On top of everything, I have things to live for. So if it means not going to your function, I won't go. Because if it's going to cost me something, or you may be there, or the enemy may try to use you to test my flesh, it's not worth it for me. I ain't going. And that's maturity. That's self-care. That's a great example of self-care. Because if you know it's going to be a problem, when in doubt, do it out. Right. And these are the things that I had to live by because I was burned, I was mistreated, or I was put in situations where I'm taking on the weight of something that had nothing to do with me. Not directly your fight. Or because I don't believe in turning over on somebody that I'll eat this. You know, and what purple badge was I getting a medal by doing that? So guess what? Purple. What is it? Heart. A purple heart. That's what I'm trying to say. What purple heart was I getting by doing it? Right. When people now don't even know what loyalty looks like. You can't even show up for things and families and certain different arenas. You understand? But you want loyalty, but you don't even have the first bit of what loyalty looks like. Right. That means standing in the gap, standing in the crunch when people are wavering and flickering on you, and you got to stand in what the purpose and the principles that God gave you. And not to say I always stood the test of time, but in my later years or my latter years, I'm understanding the growth. That growth and that pruning is all the things that will allow you to withstand as you go higher and higher and higher. And it's not easy. And there's a lot of days I cry. Right. There's a lot of times that things will minister to me and I'm crying, or my kids are wiping, Mommy, what's the matter? And it's because when you're out here doing God's work or his will, it is lonely. Yeah. And when you do get to a certain plateau where you are making money, and no, I'm not making the money that I'd like to make yet, but you have to understand that all money is not good money. Every party ain't going to be the party that you may need to attend. Sometimes knowing and trusting the fact that I shouldn't have went there, and then you get there and then you $15,000 later paying a lawyer or whatever the situation may be, or God was already giving you a warning and you didn't adhere to it. So I'm tired, y'all. I don't know about nobody. I'm tired. She said, my peace. I'm tired. It's golden. It's uncompromisable. Yes, love that. Love that. Yeah. I was about to ask you, what would you want to lead the people with? What do you recommend for the listeners or anything like that? That was it, but you can still answer the question. Find yourself a Shanice. Find yourself a Jeri. Find somebody she said you're gonna win. that will look you in your face, even when you're on your face or you're on your knees and you don't know to go left or right, and that will speak to you. That will tell you shall live and not die, that you are the head and not the tail, that you are purposefully driven, and that you mean something, even if you don't see any light. And another thing, I proposed to the children's ministry, Quincy Jones song. I've been playing it, and my sons were laughing because I kept singing it over and over yesterday in the kitchen after we had church, and I'm singing it and remembering the words, shed love in places where there is none. Remember that song, Tomorrow, guys? Quincy Jones. I hope tomorrow will bring a better you. a better
Did
me.
we sing that? We sung that, or we danced to that, or something.
They need that.
Elementary school.
But who's playing it now?
Yes.
Quincy, we would love to come on. Let's do a new revision of it. Tevin Campbell, where you at? Because
he around. Tevin Campbell was doing parties and everything.
But my thing, because nobody is really. Let's do a declaration where we want to implement that instead of the Pledge of Allegiance, or in addition to their Pledge of Allegiance. Let kids sing that.
Yes.
So while they're going home.
We can fly.
Yep. To a whole nother place. All we need is belief and a smile on our face. We can go anywhere we want, any road we decide to take. Cause we're never too far, for tomorrow's today. We rocked it. But that's what I'm saying.
That got me.
It did.
My elementary years, when I was a happy kid,
yes.
That was when we were singing. We were dancing, we were acting. So that just got me.
Listen, it does, yeah. But
Miss
that's
Johnson,
come on.
I hope you're gonna be up here soon. Shout out to Miss Johnson. She knows who she is. She's supposed to be up here soon.
But come
God
on.
is the greatest, that song right
He
there.
He is, because we've gotten away from that.
Words have
exactly.
Power.
He said for us to shed light or love in places where there is none. I wish I could. But that's what we got to get back to. And as I started hearing it, I was crying.
I know it's going to be our real when we leave, right?
No, for real.
I'm posted with that song.
Exactly.
That song.
Because
that's dope.
Well, tell me what kids are hearing that.
Yeah.
They hearing, oh, you got to get a bag, you got to get a BBL, you got to do this, and I might get a BBL. I don't know. But I'm just saying, you are hearing all of these things. But what is edifying?
Yeah.
What are we singing like? Well, in love, you can find. Now it's like, man, somebody do something to you, you do something to you. One thing I can always be sure of, far away, no, never, the promise of today.
You know what's crazy? I just said yesterday, more than once, I said, our children are the children of today.
It is.
I said, it's not the future anymore, it's today. We have young kids leading protests and things.
Yes.
You know, we see the little bat or whatever, we're going to always have that going on, shooting all that stuff.
Yes.
Please, we got to do better with that. But our children are powerful.
They are. But
if they're poured into correctly, they are so powerful.
Exactly.
That song is this on to be challenged.
No, I'm glad it did.
I'm trying to let us close out, but woo!
Because we're supposed to be doing on the 28th an interfaith church, and we're going to do it outside in the park, Whitney Pond Park, August 28th. I happen to be doing a mansion party in Connecticut that day. Wow. So, my kids are going to be there, and I'm like torn. I was just thinking about it, like, God, if there's a way I could do both, but if I'm going to send a message, the pastor was like, this is the song, because again, even hearing it, my son was like, okay, it does. It brings you back to a place where I'm not singing, I'm singing of promise. Yeah. I'm singing of hope. I'm singing that tomorrow. And these are the kind of songs that we had these growing up. Yep. So we look at where we are. We are doing things because we had those principles. You understand? We didn't have well, if I take you out, I'm going to be taken out. Or you saying to a kid, or even me, there's sometimes I speak and my sisters, and they might say, oh, you out of turn and you shouldn't say. Listen, if I tell somebody the wrong thing, the blood is on my hands. So if I see a kid going the wrong way, I did it to my little sister, Jeanette, her girlfriend, Ashley. I'm here, I'm a young mother with my daughter, Giselle, and I'm driving by Freeport High School over where they go to have lunch, past like the little shopping area towards Baldwin, diagonally across from Friendly's. I see my sister and her girlfriend just walk. So I'm like, Jeanette, what are you doing? And here I'm supposed to be, I'm cool sister, but at the end of the day, it was on my conscience that, and my responsibility as a mother myself. If something happened to my sister, I couldn't have lived with that. And even her girlfriend wasn't my responsibility. But this is where it comes in as being a village or being a part of a village. I saw this young lady and I said, Ashley, I said, listen, if your mother got a problem that I told you to get in the car, then you can tell her to come see me. I said, but I'd rather her know that you were home safe. Right. And I said, I don't mean it in any disrespect, but you're going to get in the car. Mm-hmm. And she did. Because she didn't have a choice. I couldn't live with that. Right. And sometimes we feel when have a responsibility to say certain things, your delivery is everything. Mm-hmm. I could say, yo, such and such, and or yo, and and then somebody's like, yo, wait a minute, what, like time out. What? Like such as a B, I'm not gonna hear
energy,
sweetheart, or I know I'm not your mom, right? But I don't want to see this happen for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I have so many people that'll come back and be like, thank you.
Thank you.
Because you know what? While I'm looking out for me and the many angels and my aunts and uncles and grandmothers that took me summers and poured into me and didn't see me without, and friends and even people that I don't even know that looked out, I look at that, and that's what the world doesn't have today.
Come on.
They don't have it. So
come on, Jeri.
I just have to say these things because this platform, which is going to be huge, remember I told you that.
Appreciate you.
I want to make sure that people have an understanding that morality, that self-awareness, that moral conscience, that guide, that doing the wrong thing, that not responding to every invitation of negativity that you're being invited to, and walking away doesn't make you a punk or a sissy. You know what I'm saying? But it's understanding that if you don't do things in an extra special way, you may not make it home tonight.
Right.
Or if somebody just saying, listen, give me your license and registration. At this point, yes, do we have a right? But guess what? I'm going to get on the phone and say to my lawyer, listen, this is what happened. Can you take care of it? And even if you don't, or a public offender, whatever it is, and fight your fight that way. But not fighting yourself in a situation where you got to pick between what you feel is so right because we tired, and we are tired. Yeah. But let's take our fight in other ways that are going to be effective to get the change that we want. Because there's different levels of fighting.
Right.
I'm all for the mindset and the strategic. I've fought when listen, ain't nobody trying to get shot at and bumped and bruised. Right. You know what I'm saying? That's why somebody will be quicker to try to take you out than to just worry about but then you got to live with that. And then all the people that are affected by it. So that's what I want to leave you guys with to take away. Just really getting back to the things that help make you dope.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Or have that longevity in the game, or be able to walk around, and live with the kind of things you are able to live with or have because of your mindset. And because you have somebody that be like, niece, you got how much time? You've been on the job 30 years. Okay, so if you do that, right, what's going to happen? You're going to need a lawyer. So that means you're going to have to put up your house. All right, what happens if you don't do it or you blow trial? Then what's going to happen? So are you thinking about all those things? Who's going to raise your big boy, and little guy? Who's going to raise them, Or what's Butter calls him Dewey? What's the baby? The nickname Booby. Yeah, Booby. Yeah, who's going to raise Booby? Like who's going to do things the way he does or you do if things are not. So for me, that's my first thing. What are my kids going to do?
Right.
I can be everything you want to be. But guess what? I'm going to make sure I get home to my kids.
That's
God's will.
That's the one.
So that's the type of friends that'll say, okay, that's what you think you're going to do? Well, I can make a quick fix and I'll make a come up. Well, how much out of that 50 that you're going to scam, how much of it is you're going to need for lawyer fees?
Listen. I hope you're listening.
So again, and I'm not saying I haven't done things and I'm perfect. I'm just saying when you look at the instant side of things, what are the long terms? And I'm just hoping I help somebody because if God gives you a mind and people around you that may not always endorse you, but support you or give you sound advice, that's like the Bible scripture. When you ask for help, you may have not liked how it came. You may have not liked how they looked. You might have not even liked who it came from. But they were God sent to tell you what to do or how to at least navigate in that situation. And because you didn't like the messenger, or you didn't like how they looked or what they wore, what they said, you didn't respect it. But that was your help.
Hello. It may not be the type of help you thought you needed, but I bet you it's the help. It's the help. Listen, ma'am.
I can't say how wonderfully happy I've had to spend this time. I know we said a lot, and
no, it was you. This was God.
Yeah,
you already know what's
we said. I said it though. I said
know.
It, and I just know I'm gonna listen out for my phone to hear some more wonderful things.
I appreciate you.
I definitely am because
I'm
it's
excited
there.
For you, honey. I'm excited
Thank you.
For you.
And it's due.
Because what I love is when you said it's a funny story, but this is what happened when I was in school. Because there's another child that's like, I love fashion.
Right.
But people might laugh because I'm different.
Right.
But they hear or they see the podcast and be like, oh,
yeah.
That's what started from when she was in school.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Because
a lot of times what happens is they pull from the things that other people aren't doing.
Right.
And I'm not. This is not no shade. I'm not taking it from anybody. But most of the time the boys like, well, I should be learning how to play basketball. But what am I going to do if I don't know how to play sports? And they get lost. They don't want to say, "Oh, I like playing chess."
Right. Exactly.
Which they don't like saying
that's one of the best things. I'm still trying to learn.
I'm a gamer. You know what I'm saying? They're like, "Oh, this is not the norm, so I'm not going to share. I'm just going to be a gamer in the house." You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
But when they see you, they're like, "Oh, when she was a young person, she knew she wanted to be in fashion, so I should start now too."
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
I definitely did, and also too.
So thank you for that.
The one more thing, because I'm not even listen. I'm not ready to go. So if I said too much, it is. But we need to know, because if I told you everything that was not right, and you be taking the notes over, this ain't right, this that, But Steve Harvey, I love him. I love watching him. I feel he's very inspirational. Him, Denzel Washington, But he says Steve Harvey said, "Your room will make gift for you." So
your gifts will make room for you.
Your gifts will make room for you. So while you thinking you got to go to Harvard and Yale or whatever schools to be this best person, and then you wondering like, well, wow, I'm not even getting, a job in what I went to school for. All these student loans. I've been here, I've been there. Mind you, I've been to Malloy. I've gotten numerous certifications.
A lot of us not using our degrees.
Yeah, I didn't get degrees, but I knew what I learned what wasn't really working for me. Mm-hmm. I knew definitely being a worker wasn't the best thing for me because I didn't know how to always take instructions. So I knew that didn't work. But again, I had to understand why or what was it about me that may have been an issue. But again, he speaks about how if somebody didn't know how to fry chicken so well, would there be a Popeyes?
Okay.
Everywhere. So I'll say to you, don't always look for what, even like people, I'm going through healthcare because this is where the money is. That's great. But if you don't know even how to serve people on a bed of affliction or sick, why are you doing it? Because the money's good, but you are rotten at doing it. Mm-hmm. And no disrespect to any of essential workers, healthcare workers. I'm just saying, if your heart and your passion is not into it, then do something that will bring you happiness, and then your spirit will reign the happiness that you feel, and it'll be infectious. Mm-hmm. So while I'm out here going places and I'm spreading love, good morning. Like I said, I walk into arenas and get put to the front of things that I might not even been on the list for because of what energy I'm bringing. And it's not to take away or think I'm better. I'm just showing up saying, God, use me, and being happy about it and saying hi, but definitely finding that gift or asking God. I remember praying years ago and say, God, show me my gift. Because if I'm really supposed to be out here showing and proving your excellence or doing things in your reverence or to reverence your name, then let me be happy in doing it. So I know I can help people, but I like looking nice, so that for me would just be a plus. The fashion for me is just a plus.
Right. Come
but
on,
the real irony is getting up there and speaking to people. And like I said, I even prayed privately for Tori Hart. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. And she cried. I mean, I don't need to show footage because that's not what it's about. But the whole point about it is I was in an arena doing something else, but I needed to speak to her. Right. And I did. Mm-hmm. And she received, and we speak, and I love her. Mm-hmm. She's, you don't know people's story, and sometimes you don't know what people had to go through, but she touched me. And before I could leave, she was like, we got to exchange numbers, and to know that I went to do something and I'm touching people that are on platforms that I didn't even expect to. And like I said, and that's in everybody that I come into contact with, even if it's just a takeaway or you just reiterated something within me. I'm grateful for you all. Yes. And the haters.
The who?
I don't even know that.
We owls when it comes to that.
Yeah, right. But I thank you too, because the more you keep not believing, the more God gonna just show you how much that you should be a believer and get out of the way of yourself and get in a place where you can be happy with who you are.
That one.
Again, the work. It requires the work.
That one right there. Be happy within yourself. Definitely. So you can stop looking at everybody else. Hello. And listen. Yep. Listen, you're going to have to come up here with a few of our ladies and we're going to have conversations.
I love to.
For sure. Because I know you have a lot. I know you have much more than what you gave us tonight.
Yeah, definitely.
But thank you so much.
Thank you, Shanice. Thank you for everything you're doing.
Much.
Thank you so much. Like I said, touching on the things that we don't want to hear in the community. molestation. You know how many people, thank God I've never been a product of that, but how many men and women are suffering from that, and it's affecting their sexual life and their way to even be vulnerable, or just so many things that I watch you say, and I'm like, wow.
Yeah,
let's go.
Wow. We gotta heal. We have to heal. We have to be better. We have to do better, and we have to be accountable.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Exactly.
So I want to have those. We want to have those real conversations so we can grow as a community.
And stop saying, "Oh, I wasn't taught this, so I don't know." It is your right to find out. There's a lot of things that have been done or I've experienced that I played no part in. I didn't show up. I wasn't even a factor in the situation, but I got the garbage end of it. You understand? So some of my stance and how I am has to do with, listen, that wasn't my fight. So, whoever that's for, take it to them.
Right.
And being able to be aware and say that and cut it off. But like I said, just doing your part and saying, I don't like this about me. There's many times I sat with myself. I didn't like my gap at times. You know what I'm saying?
Beautiful.
Thank you. But when you really to begin to, like my sister with the forum, she started doing things with self-inventory, and that started it. Yeah. It was one question I had. I couldn't understand. I said, why is it that sometimes people in the 9th ending or the 11th hour, 12th hour leave? And I remember the gentleman that was facilitating the forum, he said, why do you keep going back to the same people that leave you on that ending? I was like,
come on, sir.
I was like, so that was the introductory for me wanting to do the self-work because of my older sister. And now she's breaking barriers and doing things, and very very successful realtor in Charlotte. And I mean, not only
you do real estate too, right?
Yeah, she's been, now she's a broker too, but she a broker and she's doing mortgages as well. But she I'm not moving in that yet because like I said, I'm trying to. I have many hats, but just trying to be better at one. Like even my clothing mentor, I just left him at a meeting with him about 2:00, 3:00 today. And he says, listen, he's worked with huge designers, Jewish gentlemen. And he said, listen, you got to be great at the one. He said, I was running 3 businesses and I was focusing on something else new and I lost the 3.
Lost sight.
But he got it back again. So now we're working on some things. And it's like to hear someone just want to say, don't do this.
Right.
Because a lot of people don't want to share what not to do.
Don't.
They'll tell you, girl, I did this and I did, but what did you what were you not successful in doing?
We spoke about it earlier. Like I said, people want to have the illusion be shown, and they can't wait to tell you how many things they're doing, all this things. There's no point in mentioning it if you're feeling at it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
It's just a facade. It's just a facade. And it's, to me, you're a hater as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Because people who care about you are going to tell you want to focus on one thing at a time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You want to focus on one thing until you don't have to run it anymore.
Exactly.
It's just your brand.
Exactly.
And now on to the next thing. And then you finesse that. Now you got 2 things working for you.
Right.
So you can continuously focus on other things.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's not a race.
No,
what is God is going to... Listen, we're going to keep talking.
I know.
Listen, ma'am.
Guys, I'm leaving.
Thank you so much for coming. You have an event coming up, correct?
Yes, I have the thing in March. I'm still on the fence. I want to pop out to Vegas. I have an opportunity. I don't know, because like I said, I'm really doing self-inventory because Fashion Week is coming up. I'm supposed to be a part of that. But my thing is, if you can go to the head, why even not still put yourself out there and be relevant? But I don't want to be in a stage where I'm on a exercise bike.
Gotcha.
I want to be on an actual bike. Like, that's gonna be.
Look, I said she's a mover and a shaker.
Yeah,
that's what she's talking about.
So I'm supposed to be going to do House of Pride up in Vegas. I thought about just doing one event, but I'm on the fence if I still want to further out with that because I'm going for something bigger than that. Oh. So again, I want to be relevant, and it's great because everyone's like, "Oh, you're here, you're there, you're here." There. And to me now, it just doesn't sound good because I'm not really trying to be here or there. Be fruitful. Right, and I don't want to seem like I'm just doing it to be here or there.
Doing stuff.
Yeah, because it's really not about that. But for me, it has everything to do with the fact that there was been periods in my life where I lay dormant, or because I had to put motherhood first and be at every event and be at every appointment and do everything that other things suffered.
Right.
So I want to be effective.
Yes.
And not, like I said again, being a part of everything, but Give me to the buyers.
Yeah, come on in
Yeah,
here.
Give me.
I
want to go to the buyers.
Yeah,
I want to sit down with them and be charismatic and talk my talk with them and see what that opens up, because that's where for me the real check is.
Yeah.
Not continue to do things in every platform that I've been on and every fashion show that I did. They were all successes, and huge kudos to everyone that had to put it together, and the amount of work, money, and time, and people and attitudes that they had to deal with. I absolutely support you, thank you, and salute you. It's just, for me, at this point, I'm getting older, so
you move to the next phase.
I'd like to be like 40, 45. I mean 44, 45. Saying, okay, well, I'll be opening up in this store. And that's just my dream. Will it happen? If it's God's will. But I'm doing everything to knock down doors to do it.
And on that note, tell the people where they can find you.
I'm on Instagram, J.Gross _ clothes. I lost my train of thought. Excuse me. Let me recap that again. It's J.Gross _ clothes _ shoe line on Instagram. My email is j.grossshoeline, and that's 3 S's, HOELINE @gmail.com. So if you need to reach out to me, you can reach me out on a website. I have actually one that's actually being some corrections and some stuff being done to it. So that's in the making, but definitely you can DM me and contact me with email or Instagram, even Facebook. I'm on Facebook, J.Gross on Facebook as well.
Yeah, right. If you have any ideas for her in regards to fashion, hit her up.
Definitely, please. I'm here. Any critiquing, I'm open, because again, a good learner, a good listener is always open to ideas and suggestions.
Absolutely. Listen, ma'am, continue to be great. Listen, I'm so thankful for you right now.
Thank you.
Was dropping bars.
Yeah,
you dropped some bars tonight. I know God was on you.
Yeah,
he was definitely on you.
And I really feel like I'm more ready. I was more ready because we spoke about doing this in the winter months, and I probably even couldn't sit here with having a greater awareness of self more if I didn't go through those things. So God knew the timing.
He already knew.
He knew
I could have been had you come on
you did.
When you hit me.
You did, yeah.
I don't do nothing unless he approves.
Yep.
I don't.
And I love that about you.
I don't.
I love that about you.
That's why this is not play for me. All right? I could be doing other things. This is me being obedient.
And
so I know his timing is always perfect.
Yeah.
I know his timing is always perfect. Yeah. Amen. Listen, to the little girl who's watching.
Yes.
She was in, what was that? That was technically elementary school, right?
Yeah. 8th grade elementary. I was a Latin coach in Kellenberg.
Listen, she been going at it.
Yeah.
Ever since. She might not have had the actual clothing line back then, but she was already doing things towards her dream. You have to see it before you see it,
Right.
You have to see it before you see it. So when she's saying thank you to everybody who's helped with the the runway shows and things of that nature.
Definitely.
When she's going to another level, that's respectfully.
Yeah.
Because now she's thinking bigger. She's been through some things, now she's thinking bigger. So for you who has that dream and you're sitting on it, tap back in. She tapped back in, and now she's moving. I told her to shake her and a mover. That's how you do it out here.
COVID didn't take away from anything.
Yeah.
I said, you know what? I'm gonna be like 50. I'm gonna get rich or die trying.
That's the one.
So that's when that happened. When COVID hit, I said, I don't got nothing to lose. If we're gonna die, I'm gonna die trying.
That's the one. That's the one right there. Listen, make sure you guys tap in with Miss Jeri.
Yes.
J.Gross. Shoe line and clothing line and apparel. Make sure you email her if you have any questions connected to this interview, any questions you have about even connected to how she started out. We didn't tap too much into that, but you can ask her directly whatever you want to ask her. Listen, she knows who holds her hand, so ain't no hey here. She will just tell you the information because she'll feel no type of way.
Definitely.
We all winning out here, so please tap in and support her as much as you can. To everyone who's come on this live, thank you so very much. Continue to support this platform, How Might the Lady She Podcast. We have some amazing guests that come up here and just pour their hearts out. Thank you for the spirit of God on tonight. I'm blessed. I'm very, very much inspired. So, continue to speak life into yourself. If you're surrounded by people who are not speaking life into you, you need to check your circle. Because we either winning or we winning.
Amen.
Ain't no losers out here.
Amen.
All right. So listen, everybody, enjoy your evening. God bless. See you next time.
God bless. Thank you, guys.